What is going on? Hopefully, y'all don't mind me sitting in the dark today. I don't feel like turning these lights on. But let me know when y'all get in here. Anybody watching on the replay, thank you. Anybody that does watch the replay, man, shout out to y'all. I do really sincerely appreciate the people that take the time to watch later. So I really appreciate y'all. I definitely appreciate the people that rock out live and keep this thing going with the chat. But I wanted to shout out to the people that watch on replay. Give me a second. There's gonna be a slightly ghetto stream. I'm sorry. I don't feel like being in the lights, and I can feel my face is dry. So I'm about to put on lotion right in front of y'all. And look all. It's gonna be super sus. What? What's wrong with the lotion? What in the world? Not my lotion done chunked up. That don't. I don't like that. Give me a second, y'all. Anybody in the chat? Hopefully, y'all might be sitting in the dark. Like a weirdo. Give y'all 1 second. With a brizzle.
You a little chopped and screwed, huh?
Chopped and screwed? What you mean?
Just a little bit. A little bit like Minecraft Steve over here. It's all right. It be the internet.
See, on my side, it look fine. See, God dang.
Yeah, it's like a signal. It's clearing up, but it's like a signal. It's clearly a signal thing. Hey, y'all.
Ew. Let me see.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's actually clearer now. When I first came in, it was looking real
ghetto. What's up?
It's probably just a.
Dury, what's up? And my signal is trash looking like right now.
It's just a signal right now.
It says it's unstable.
Yeah, you'll get
it. But my whole computer
I can hear you fine though.
That too.
Oh,
that's good.
Yeah. So the sound, there isn't a delay or anything on the sound. It's good. I'm DreamCon's coming up, so I have a market this weekend. So hey, who's MJ?
Dury.
That's Dury? Okay. Yeah, so I'm getting ready for my markets. It's that time of year, July flies by. So I was working on some table and stuff, trying to figure out some, how to display new items and things like that. So yeah. I left my hot wings in the microwave, so I'm gonna have to run upstairs.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking. Hopefully, y'all don't mind. I know y'all said I'm blurry, but is it okay? Is it okay if I stay in the dark? Do I need to turn some lights on? Y'all in the chat, let me know. Do I need to turn some lights on?
And I can see you. It's just is it blurred? It don't bother me because I can hear you fine. So if the signal is unstable, if you wanna, it's up to you. It don't bother me.
I'm good. Cool.
Yeah, it's like in and out. It's figuring itself out.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like this. It's probably gonna be real ghetto today.
Yeah,
I mean, because the weather is not clearing up on my side.
And don't y'all got some weather coming up that way, right?
It's a little stormy. Yeah. It was wet when I went outside earlier.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, bring your pony pup. I'm slanged.
Yeah, I always have it, but I usually don't have a background. I have been wearing it for weeks, but y'all usually can't see it because I have a fake background on. So, welcome, introducing you to my Afro puff.
Yeah, I rock rough and tough with my Afro puff.
Yeah, because for the culture, you know what I'm saying? For the culture.
Yeah, everybody can't do that.
Oh my God! Before we start, I went and saw Inside Out 2 yesterday.
Did you?
The Disney movie. Oh, I'm talking about ugly cried in the theater, bitch. Ooh.
Oh, for real?
Inside Out be getting me. Okay, look, them Pixar movies. Yeah. Oh my God! What was
this one about? Like, as far as like what was the character going through in their life for the emotions?
So she's a teenager now. I don't know if you saw the first one, but she's a teenager now. So she has.
I don't remember it, but I know I saw it.
Okay, because it's like the emotions. So the first one, it was like happy, joy, fear, anger, and disgust. And then, like in the first movie, she was getting a little older, so they were like having to learn how to understand each other. So in the new movie, she's a teenager. So we got 4 new emotions, which was like anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and what was it, ennui or something like that. It was 4 new emotions. And anxiety, it was about anxiety. So basically, Pixar was teaching us what anxiety is, why anxiety is the way it is and how to deal with anxiety. It was really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
So
No, that's cool.
yes, really
All
good.
right. I have to check that out.
So
Shout out
check
to
it out.
Dose. Dose in the building. Let me
Yeah.
see what that is. A Humpty Hump. Okay, I see you. Yeah, let's
Hanging
go.
there.
Well,
Yeah.
before we get started today, I did want to talk very briefly about reframing versus reinventing because that's something that I guess a few of us have run into. There is a difference between negative self talk and stating a fact that may be perceived negatively. Now, if
Rashawn
your
tried to trigger
language
me.
is
That's
the
all.
listen, because it ain't just you. I ran into it, and I'm like, why? Like, why did this happen after you and Yella brought that up? I'm like, why?
Oh my
So
God.
if your
It's that common.
language is it's that common. So if your language is displaying useless or harmful thought patterns, reframing is a great idea. Reframing is where you take something, and I'll give an example of it. You take an idea and you state it differently to give a different emotional effect.
Yeah,
Same circumstance, you just use different words.
they did that
Inside
in
out?
Inside Out to teach about how to deal with anxiety. Like you can choose to look at it as all these bad things that happen, but you can also choose to look at it as these good things can happen. You could reframe it.
Yes. Glass
Yeah.
half full, glass half empty.
Right.
So, yes. But both are true. The glass is half full, the glass is half empty. That's just a fact. And stating
Right.
that doesn't have any connotation to it other than what you attach to it. And that's where reframing comes in. If having a glass half empty or half full means something to you, then you can
Hmm.
reframe it to give yourself a positive effect.
Right.
But if
I
you
might
have
have some books out of
circumstances or
control.
reality that you or someone sees as unfavorable or it's uncomfortable to talk about, because if we run into that a lot, it's
Hmm.
uncomfortable to talk about. People want to change the language, but that keeps us from observing and addressing the reality. A lot of times that
Right.
comes across as lying to yourself just to make yourself feel
Delulu.
good, self soothing. Delulu. Mr. He said in the building, salute to
Boy,
you.
stop. Move.
I was watching one of his streams, and it reminded me of something we're going to talk about today. I'm trying to remember. I actually watched two of them. I watched Shame Sunday, and then I
Hmm.
watched something with Mr. He said, but I can't remember if it was last week's or this week's. I'm behind. But the example I'm gonna give y'all, because we're talking about blackness, you might hear this quite a bit on panels or videos. Black people are the only group of people who that's negative talk.
Boy,
It's not
move.
true, and it allows people to feel that black people are a special victim group. If we were completely different than everybody else on the planet through time immemorial, there'd be no solution in the history of the world that will work. But that's unproductive. That's emotional martyrdom. And we have to avoid doing stuff like that. Instead, black people do have a disproportionate and exacerbated challenge set in this country that needs to be addressed, independent of what other groups are going through. And that is true, but that allows room for a solution. So it's okay to address things factually without having to reframe them
Oh
to
my
fix
God.
feelings or to protect feelings because
And sometimes
it's
they're
not
not even
useful.
protecting the person who's saying their feelings for real. Like that's the other
Mm-hmm.
thing. That's like crazy. Like people need to examine their
Yeah.
own uncomfortableness with, I don't even think that's a word, discomfort with
Mm-hmm.
just factually. I don't even feel like it's negative, but I guess it's just like
Yeah.
not optimal, but that's negative. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not willing to say everything that's suboptimal is negative though. Like there is space for like
Yeah.
neutral. So if you are one of those people who are constantly like, sometimes I'll say stuff like, "Oh, I'm broke," or like
Yeah.
just like stuff. Like I'm very like
Mm-hmm.
radically accepting of all of my states of being, but I'll say
Yeah.
that around some of those people who are just like vice gripping positivity for their life, and they're just like,
Yes.
"Don't
Oh
say
my
that.
God.
Don't say you're broke." I can say
Say
whatever
that
fuck I
you're
want to say.
on your way to fixed.
Say the
You
funds
know.
are on the way.
Yeah.
Bitch, I'm
I've
broke.
got money in waiting. I've got money in
It's
waiting.
coming to me soon. Like, I don't
Yeah.
feel the need to say that. I'm talking about right now. I live
Yeah.
right now. And right
All
now,
right.
bro. So I'm gonna say
Yeah.
that. And
Can
then
I
when I'm not
deposit your hope?
right, you are rich in you're rich in talent.
You're rich in spirit. Yeah, you're
You're
rich in
rich in
talent. You're rich in
spirit.
family. You're rich in love. You're rich in health.
You're rich
Health
in
is
health.
health is a real wealth. Okay.
Girl, no, it's not.
Let
That's
me pay my
unreal.
bill. Let me pay my bills with this breathing.
Right. Yeah, I'll just send that to the car payment,
Like,
my
come on,
rich in
y'all.
love, in fullness. So it's just like really annoying because it's become a thing where it like holds up a conversation. Because like I'm not gonna
Yes.
keep engaging with you if you're gonna like stop me every time I say something you feel like it's negative.
Right.
Because I was saying when I was at the market this past week, you know, people often ask me because they'll see me. I've had the luxury of doing cons because I'm crazy and I just did that my first year. So
Mhm.
like I can look more put together in presentation than I actually am. So like
Okay.
a lot of times people will be like, oh, they'll come asking me, and I could tell that they feel like I know all this information that maybe they don't, which is fine. But like I'm very candid with people. Like, girl, I don't know what the fuck I be doing half the time. Like I just be doing stuff. I just do stuff. I see what stick. I'm learning. I learn
Mhm.
along the way, but like sometimes I don't learn. Sometimes I have to do it a couple times. Like I just be doing stuff. So like I said that to
Yeah.
somebody. Like I don't know what the fuck. Don't say you don't know what you're doing. Just say you're learning. Like I said what I said. I said I don't know what the fuck I be
Yeah.
doing half the time, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep saying that.
And that's okay.
That's
There's no
relatable.
shame in not knowing. There's no shame in
Yeah,
not knowing.
and it's also relatable, right?
Mhm.
Like a lot of us feel that way, especially black people, when you're like venturing into new areas where other people you may not know aren't in. Like you may not have other family members who do that. So a lot of us are just feeling shit out. Like we don't really actually know. We
Yes.
don't there's so much we don't know that we don't even know what we don't know. So like you can't even be
Right.
learning at that point. Like I don't even
Right.
know what I need to learn. So I'm just doing shit. you know?
Mhm.
Like that's a
And that's
real
real.
space. Right. That is a real space. So I'm like, no,
Mhm.
that's the space I'm in. That's where I am. And so that's actually more relatable, I think, to someone who feels that way because
Yeah.
that's how you feel when you're actually doing it. You feel like you don't know what you're doing. You feel like everybody else around you got it together and you don't. So, like, hearing someone say, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing either, that you think has it together, I found actually helps a lot of people. So, I'm
No,
going to
I'm
keep
with
saying
that.
it.
No.
Yeah. Telling you
Yeah.
what to say.
Allow some room for the suboptimal is okay. Like fuck it.
Right.
That's right. Forgive, understand, and give grace. Even for yourself. If you
Right.
absolutely positively everything in your life has to be positive for you to cope, like that might be a sign that you have a wellness issue. Like you're not well. If everything has to be positive, like where's the room for
Yeah.
life to happen? I mean, that means it's going to break you. Like if everything has to be like, oh my god, I'm I'm overflowing with everything positive. Like that's weird to me, but only in the sense that I'm accustomed to and okay with negative, neutral, and positive. All of them
Right.
are impermanent. Nothing's going to stick. Nothing's going to be all the way bad, all the way neutral, all the way good. When I'm in a good space, I'm thinking like, man, the come down off of this is going to be crazy.
Gonna
And when
be
I'm in a bad space, I'm like, I can't wait till I get to come up from this space because I know it
right.
always shifts. Life is a shifting, it's moving.
You'd be like,
It's
this
so
drop
weird when
finna be
people get
wild. But that makes the best
man, it's about
roller
to be
coaster
wild.
ride. But that, when
Man.
you at the top of that hill and you be like, oh, this gonna be a hell of a drop. I mean, there is some. That's what make the
Yeah.
roller coaster
And,
better.
and see, I guess I've lived long enough in life to kind of feel that out. Like it's like
Hmm.
intuitive. Like right before the pandemic, me and my family were talking, and I was like I feel like some drama's about to pop off. Like, cause everything's been too cool,
So it's your
and
fault.
then the pandemic popped off, and my family was cut. They still mention that, like man, like I still remember that time
It's
you
the
said,
sun fault.
and then
It's time.
the next month, the whole world shut down. I was like, man, listen, it wasn't my fault, but
Ebb
it
and
felt like
flow.
it because I talked it up. Yeah, ebb and flow. There's cycles to life, and you can kind of feel them
Exactly.
coming a lot of times.
Yeah, I think those people
Everything
who
has
are
to be
bubble
positive.
wrapped in positivity are fearful and
Mm-hmm.
anxious. And I generally stay away from people like that in real life. Like I wouldn't partner
Mm-hmm.
in business with someone who couldn't handle my negative talk about my
Yeah,
experience learning to run a business when I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. If someone can't handle hearing
yeah,
that, then I can't be around them.
yes. Or like it ain't got to be personal, like because
Right.
I know I'm saying like a lot.
Like,
I have a negative experience of streaming. Like I lost 5 people in the last week. I lost 5 people just like Thanos snap. Matter of fact, it's
damn.
no, it was 322 to 315. That's 7. I lost 7 people in the last week. I'm losing them faster
It's
than
all
I'm
right. They
gaining them
probably
back.
don't like us.
Man, that's cool. But it's if I had somebody I'm working with and I say something like that, I don't want you got to think about all the people you can get, and I'm like that. No, I can actually think about what I lost
Now I
because
can think
I
about
went
what
back
the
and
fuck
looked
I
at the
lost.
streams that I lost them. Yeah, so I went back and looked at the streams that I lost them on, and then compared them. I went and found out the streams that I got the biggest subscriber jumps on, and was
Yeah,
able to compare. And I can learn something from the contrast between the streams I lost them on. I kind of
yeah,
know why I lost them and where I gained them, and I'm like, I might start leaning more into that because that seemed effective. So I might,
yeah. And that's what I was like. There is something to be learned from the loss. If you're just gonna keep ignoring all the negative, then you're not gonna be able to learn from that or utilize that
yeah,
to
yep,
manufacture success. And like that's my whole thing. Like I'm starting to see a
mm-hmm.
little bit of traction, but it's because I do
Yeah.
tend to focus on the negative sometimes. Like, hey, Bravo, it's
Bravo to
Sheila.
Sheila.
Good to
Good to
see
see
you.
you.
Sometimes I do focus on the negative, and I don't feel like my
Appreciate you.
business would be where it is if I didn't focus on the negative. I don't feel like the Kawaii Bree channel would be where it is if I didn't focus on the negative sometimes. Like if I just stay
Yeah,
positive, keep doing what you're doing, it'll find the audience
yeah,
for you. What you're doing is fine. Like I would still be doing content that maybe I enjoy doing, but maybe it only gets 50 views. And like
mm-hmm.
that's fine if I just wanted to kick shit with my friend Twan on stream, but I can do that in real life. I gotta hit live for
Yeah,
that. So sometimes I do focus on the negative, and that's okay.
yeah.
That's okay.
Not with you, but there's a way to productively focus on the negative. Like
Right.
another thing, like just another like my mentality on negativity. My air fryer was acting up. Now,
Man,
if I was like,
I'm
oh
too-
my God, I got to spend money on a new air fryer. But because my mentality is different, I was like, wait a minute. I remember there was a recall on my little air fryer. So I went ahead and
Mhm.
bought another one because I had a whole, my nephew was like, man, we can go in on air fryer. I'm like, I'm not buying an air fryer if I need to split costs on the air fryer. So I went ahead and bought one. But then I looked up the information on the recall and I should be either getting $50 or the full price of the air fryer that I originally bought. So I
Yeah,
will either at most I should be paying for this new air fryer will be $20 like net, like
that's
20 bucks
cute.
net cost, or maybe 5 if I get the full refund. So I'll send my receipt or proof of purchase. So I might get the full cost, and that's just $5. So I'm like, that's just thinking through the situation based on the facts. Like I could have been wild on like, oh, I gotta buy a new air fryer, but not being like negatively impacted by the negative concept, like
Yeah,
circumstances, allowed me to think through it clearly. And we have to get
that's
to a
good
place where we can
language.
experience, yeah,
Like you don't
we
have to
can
be
have negative
negatively
circumstances,
impacted, or
right,
you don't have to
right,
internalize every negative thing
yes,
as some
mm-hmm.
reflection on even sometimes you as a person. Right. Like
Hey,
even
listen,
you as
them
a
feet
person,
pics,
like
man,
every
yeah,
negative thing doesn't mean something about you. Like I mean
yeah,
inherently. Like maybe it means something about
yeah,
something you chose to do, but it doesn't necessarily mean
absolutely.
inherently like you're
It can speak
terrible.
to your circumstances. It can speak to your
Yeah.
choices. It can speak to a lot of things.
Oh,
But if you're like emotionally like tripping, as we be talking about, if you're emotionally
emotional
tripping, then
tripping.
you're not really going to get any development or usefulness out of that state. Shout out to
Right.
yeah, what's up, Simma in the building,
Hey.
man. Appreciate it. We were just
Hello.
talking about this up, Simma, man. Appreciate that. I just lost
Right.
7 of them. Just lost 7, but again,
Well, we probably gonna
I
lose
looked
some
and
more.
found out why.
By time we finish today, we probably gonna lose some more. Cause you trying to be real. Like, let's find language for it. I said, fuck them. If you feel like you ain't us, it's probably because you ain't us. That's
What's up,
me.
Greg?
But that's just
I am
that's
not us.
yeah. Sorry.
Now go
I
ahead.
I just
No,
that's
go
the
ahead.
culture. I am the culture, and sometimes we get ignorant,
Yeah.
and I don't really give a fuck at this point. Like,
Now, do your thing. I'm not here to box you in. I'm not
you
trying to
can't.
put you in a black box.
You can't box
I
a
could.
hurricane in. I'm gonna be like, what's that?
I could. I
You can't
could.
box a
I ain't
hurricane.
Louis. I ain't Louis. I ain't perforated. Nah, let me quit.
Oh my God.
So shout out to Sim Simon, man, because he sent me a donation, man. Appreciate you for the donation and the love and the support of the channel and the creativity that we do over here, man. Definitely appreciate you. Probably going to be doing some different stuff with Yella in the near future too, so look out for that. Wrestling related stuff. So I'll keep you. I know Sam Simon, you be into the wrestling, so I'll let you know specifically. I am not, so I feel like I should have strong opinions about this for no reason. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. What is it like to be
But you're
not
a
like
different
us?
us.
Right.
Yeah, you're a
I
different
mean,
us.
yeah. Well, you not us.
20 cents a toe.
He not us,
Jesus
period.
Christ.
So
Greg is everybody, and everybody is Greg.
get
I
into the
spend most of my
box.
time trying to get into the box. Hey, I like it. And I'm wrong
The
with that.
box.
I'm wrong with that. So, bring what I did today. And of course, feel free to deviate as much as you want to get out whatever you wanted to get out. But there's some, I'm prone to pull up some video because there's some conversations I had like sitting. I was like, I don't know how I want to stream this,
Oh Lord.
but they
About the
played
like
into
us thing?
this about blackness,
Oh, okay.
So not specifically
Okay.
about Kendrick and Drake, but about the blackness and identity. So I chopped
Okay.
the stuff up, and I chopped it up in a way where it's like one point, so that we can react to one point instead of like playing a 5-6 minute video and there's like several points packed in. I kind of
Yeah.
chopped it up like point by point, and then kind of we can react to it because it's about blackness, and it's like a one person had a conversation about blackness, and then somebody responded to that, and like that's kind of how I chopped it up. There's a couple other
Okay.
things mixed in there, but I wanted to do that. But is there anything that you wanted to open up with? We had that conversation. It went. We dropped the link. We dropped the link. It
Sorry.
got a little
That's my
chaotic.
fault. That's on me.
No, that was on me. I think I did it. I don't think
No,
you
I
did that.
dropped the link. You were
Did you?
like, because I was leading it. That was my stream I was leading. So I dropped the
Okay.
link. I made the ultimate call to do it. And
Okay.
sorry. Not really. I'm
I
not
felt like
sorry,
I
but
did
I
it.
am a little bit. No, I definitely did it. I dropped it. Yeah, I'm kind of glad though, because I just feel like it's one of those things. Like I'm discovering that it's. I mean, Yella said this. I don't know if he said it on stream or in a back conversation. He just like black people don't do nuance well, and I just feel like it really played
Yes.
out really well on that stream. So
Yeah. I like how the thing that we were talking about happened during the stream. Now, shout out
literally,
to IG.
right?
Shout out to IG who kind of triggered it in the
Yeah,
conversation, but he wanted to get on in today's conversation. But I got a lot of video I want to get through. So IG,
yeah,
if you happen to catch this, I know he said he might be free today. I said I open up, and anybody else, anybody that's listening, anybody that's a regular over here, anybody that stays in the chat and participates with us. If you ever want to have a conversation on this channel, just reach out. I'm willing to open up the bar and have a conversation, but going forward, I'm probably not going to like tack onto a conversation by dropping a link on a conversation that's already progressing or something like that.
because oh
A
my
lot of times,
god,
like, because if people want the link, typically is because something got them bothered and they want to
yeah,
elaborate on it. And sometimes we're having like a program or we have something we're trying to express. Like I know Yellow and Bree were trying to work out something in. So in hindsight, I would have preferred to have worked out the difference between because me, Bree, and Yellow all disagreed, but I didn't even get in there because what was going on. So if people
yeah,
do want to have a conversation, let me know. We can set up a stream. I know Greg is waiting on somebody else because me, Greg, I'm a backup. I'm on the back burner for Greg for a conversation. So there's one. But if anybody else that's typically over here in the chat is like, man, I want to talk about this, I'll open up the bar. We can chop it up. If you want Bree, if you want Yellow, I can let them know. We can schedule something. So this is kind of our space. It's not just me. I'm not a dictator. I like conversation. Emphasis on conversation. So just, let a Negro know. Let a ninja know. And we can have a conversation about whatever. So IG, I'm going to try to get him in because I want him to be able to elaborate in full, but not trying to
right.
fit it in between some like videos and reactions. So we'll see about IG. We
Snacks.
got Midnight Snack in the building. What's up, Snack? What's up? White people do nuance too well. They figure out how to be Christian and neo-Nazi and vegan simultaneously. Compartmentalization is a book, but yeah. So we're getting ready to get started. So, um, last week was interesting. We did find out one that we are as Black people, we don't have a strong sense of what a Black identity is. Like that was one thing
Child,
that
I
came
was gonna say something else, child.
out. What you get ready to say?
Don't nothing. You heard that
Nah,
black auntie
come
come
on.
out. You heard that black
Come on.
grandma
Come
coming out,
on.
that southern
Say,
grandma when I
come on.
said that. Child,
Say it.
black
Say it.
people don't be doing nuance,
Mm-hmm.
interpretation, um, English,
Ooh.
Merriam Webster,
Oh.
none of it. Just be doing
Dang.
stuff. Just be feeling it out like I be doing my budget, child.
Yeah. And
We be feeling
that's
words.
a
We feel
pattern.
our words, you know?
That's a pattern that I'm noticing.
Yeah.
But I
We're
think
big feelings when it comes to like
we
words
feel
and
almost
English.
everything out. Everything
Yeah,
is
we feel.
almost a fill out.
Yeah. We be feeling
Finances,
stuff. Yeah.
education. What now? 23G. What is going on? Good long
Hey,
time no see. What's going on?
blackly black. Me too.
Yeah, Chiasi.
So yeah, it's just really
Hold up.
frustrating for me because like some of my background is in like y'all would know I'm a little chaotic, but like I
Right.
love research because there's spaces where we don't have to feel everything out. Like I'm chaotic. I like to
Mm-hmm.
feel. I like vibes and stuff, but like
Yeah.
we don't have to do that all the time. It's useful to like, not vibe all the time. That's
No,
all.
it is.
It's like legitimate. It's like legitimate ways to figure out things. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just I be tired.
Yeah.
I'm finna be Korean next week.
Nah, you're not.
Yeah, I'm gonna be since I mean
But
I'm gonna be Korean. I mean, let's just do whatever.
cool. All right, I got Chiasi back in. All right, cool, cool. All right, because as people roll back through the channel, man, appreciate y'all for swinging back through. My guy went now 23G, so got him back at it as my guy. Got my misfit mods back, man. I like having all blue. So I'm going to say that we do fill out almost everything. Like, because I've
Yeah.
noticed that when I talk about to people with religion, it's not really always based on like the Bible. It's based on their feelings about the Bible. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like so
Spiritual
like
trimming.
yeah. There's a lot of that, and I've seen it. I've seen it with finances. I've seen it with education. I've seen it with
Yeah.
child rearing. I've seen it with religion. I've seen it with like everything. It's like
Everything.
it's so much where we're just filling things out as opposed to finding any factual grounding. So that's why like some of the people, like the people I vibe with, are the people I vibe with for that reason, because we're willing to try to ground on something like tangible, something more
Hmm.
concrete, even if it's a principle and idea that we're not putting our hands on, like something our minds can wrap around. So I like definitions. I like things to be kind of clarified. That's why I like, Mr. He said, shout out to Mr. He said, man, because I was like I said, I was watching several hours of him and his wife over the last couple of days. I'm like, they'll get to like definitions. They'll get to, they'll play a video to kind of, visual so you can visualize it. So I like
Right.
people that can do that. I'm trying to lean away from people where all they do is rhetoric,
Hmm.
because that a lot of that is just feelings based. And I'm like, I need you to ground it in a way.
What's up,
But
twin?
got Yella in the building, listening in. Appreciate you, bro. So I'm gonna play the first video, and then I'm gonna let you get your reaction in first, because we're just gonna talk about this is a conversation between Mark Lamont Hill. So what I'm going to do, there are
Who?
media people, Mark Lamont Hill. There
Okay.
are media personalities. There are journalists. There are academics, and there's like the Venn diagram of people that are kind of like in between the three. So I'm going to be playing some clips today from people that are in that space of media personality, academic, and journalist. Like they try to walk that line between the three. So this is the first one though. Media personality Cameron having a conversation with Mark Lamont Hill, who's more of an academic. But we're gonna play that. It's like a minute 28 seconds. All the clips today are like 2.5 minutes or less. Some of them like 30 seconds. So we're going to short clips so that one point is being made, and then we'll come back and get our thoughts in.
The test when you in school and they ask you this, down, and third, this, that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd rather feeling black than African American, because our Africans don't even fuck with us
Wow.
because they don't.
And Americans do?
Well, you're American, Mace. You're born in America. When you go to the Olympics, and when I say
Yeah.
African American, you go over there, they call us Yankees and all that. They fuck with us, but we're not from the motherland. We're from America. So I'd rather say I'm a black American. When we go to the Olympics as a country and somebody black is fighting from the United States, You don't say African
Mhm.
American, you say American. You don't even put a color on it. It's an American fighter
Yeah,
fighting a European fighter, or China or Japanese
that's
or
good.
anything. You're known in the Olympics as an American. It doesn't matter what color you are. You're an American fighting against somebody from Cameroon or Senegal, whatever. The point being is they don't categorize it when it's world competition, but when it's other shit, it needs to be categorized. So I consider myself a Black American. I don't consider myself African American. And shout out to all my niggas in Africa. Much love. But y'all don't consider us real Africans. Y'all don't.
Now, normally I mind my own business on this kind of stuff.
All right, cool, man. I think Nova said he
Yes.
got to go, man. Appreciate
Hey,
you.
Hanifa.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I didn't know if that
Hanifa,
means got to
appreciate
go.
you,
I was
Hanifa.
like, am I old or does that mean
I'm
gotta
assuming
go?
that's got to go.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
assuming that's got to go. America's country made up people that other countries didn't want because America's the opportunity it told us
Yeah.
to be. That's just
But
convenient.
I agree with that. I consider myself Black American. I don't consider
Okay.
myself African. I mean, I know I know categorically I would be considered African American on the little dockets or whatever. She healing. But yeah, I don't prefer the term African American. I prefer
Mhm.
Black American.
Okay.
And like Black, the term Black to me is a very American term in itself. I know
Okay.
it's like got more pervasive over time, but I feel like there's a reason why we were Black is because we had no like when we weren't considered like humans and still like fully American, like we were Black because
Right.
we had no nationality to claim outside of America. Like we were from somewhere else. Maybe back when they coined the term African America, it made sense because there were like probably so many generations where they could still connect it. But like me now in 2024, like I feel like there are truly African Americans, as in people whose parents immigrated over from Africa and they're like first or second generation American.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are African Americans to me. So I'm Black American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect that. And shout out to Hanifa because Hanifa was part of this conversation right here that I
Right.
took a couple screenshots from. What I have been, because I'm a high school dropout. I'm not the I like to think, but I'm not well educated. So what I have been saying, because I feel like nationality is one thing, but in this country, a lot of Black people, Black Americans, however you want to say it, African Americans, we a lot of times don't feel like we're full citizens. We don't feel like we get the full justice. We don't feel like we get full representation. We don't feel like we get the full experience of being an American simply because of our skin color. So in nationality, I typically try to differentiate between American and Black American. Because when somebody says American, they never picture people that look like me. So I don't feel, and again, feelings, I don't
Yeah, this is a
feel
feeling thing.
like an American, but I am an American citizen, like just factually.
Yeah.
So my nationality just has to be American. But what
Right.
I found out when I'm talking and differentiating from an American and I say Black American, what I'm referring to is ethnicity.
Mhm.
That's my ethnicity. And I'm trying to differentiate it on the line of nationality, but I'm wrong. I'm incorrect. I'm actually referring to my ethnicity when I say a Black American, which is different than the nationality line. So I'm thankful I went back and
Right.
revisited this conversation because it helped me reclaim better language. Because ethnicity is a word I don't use because I didn't
Right.
understand what it meant. So anytime I used Black, I was typically referring to race or
Mm-hmm.
nationality as a Black American erroneously, or Black culture. Like, oh, you're
Right.
acting Black, talking about the culture. But a lot of times when I'm calling myself Black, I'm actually mentally, like words and pictures. We say words, but we're kind of picturing something. When I say Black, a lot of times I'm talking about the ethnicity. So
Right.
shout out to Hanifa and my aunt for having that conversation. And I think a
Because
lot of people do that.
I was gonna say because most of us like people know you're Black racially. Like if you
Mhm.
even think about why you're gonna say you are gonna establish you're Black, I mean it's typically like people know you're Black unless you're mixed or or something like that. There's people who are more racially ambiguous and then they'll say like I'm Black speaking to their race. But like for like me, I mean I'm Black, so I'm
Yeah.
not generally talking about my race when I say that.
Yeah. Because it can't just be based on melanin. That can't be the
Right.
qualifier.
That's
I've
not
seen so
even
many
really
other.
up to discuss. Like for me,
Yeah.
That's not even something I'm gonna waste time talking about because that's just fact. Like if your mom, you can either say you're mixed or you could, they may say, and most of the time for mixed race kids, like let's just say black, one parent's white, they're not even talking about their race when they call themselves black because they're mixed. They're generally, I find are talking about like this is the ethnicity or the culture I was raised around was black, so I see myself as black. Like they're not even really talking about their race because they're technically mixed. How they choose to identify usually is going to lean more towards what their experience has been. So they're usually not even talking about their race either.
Yeah. How did US just take over the word American and label everyone? We don't say Brazilian American in Brazil or Peruvian American in Peru. No, I think other countries have a more sense of self as far as nationality. So they can just be Brazilian and Peruvian.
But
Like they
when you
don't do a
start to
lot of.
go in those countries, like when you're in the country, you have to think about like language. It becomes moot. So that's why here typically I don't say I'm Black American because I'm in America. But in America, we have delineations even between races. So usually that becomes the highest order. It's just like what becomes most important is depending on where you are. So in Brazil, they're not just Brazilian. They have the darker Brazilians and they have the light. And in Brazil, between the
They still
Brazilians themselves,
distinguish.
they distinguish more in that. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Is like here in America, black and white. We don't say Black American or white American because we're in America. So like if you're the native, if you're just already there and you're a citizen, there's no point in saying that. It becomes moot. Like language tells you a lot because we don't typically say things that are redundant in language that like what we start to say comes from something. So it's like we don't need that information. We're already in America. I don't need that information that you're a Black American. So that's, I would say it's the same in others. You start to go into countries and between each other, they have more delineations. We may not know them as Americans, but there is always something like in every country, even white, more predominantly white. They got gypsies, they got all kind of shit. So like, there's always something.
Yeah. I'm about to say, and this might be sort of racist too. We do Asians as well because we don't really be caring where Asians come from. We like they're
I'd be
Asian.
like, it's so
We do that. I think
disrespectful.
it
I
is.
think
It
Asian
is.
is
We do that
fine,
with Asians and Africans.
but trying to call them, I think we do that because it's offensive to call them the wrong thing. So I think it's better to just
That's
call them
not why I do
Asian. Oh, okay. I don't know even know if some people can tell the difference,
it.
but like
That's not why I do it.
I prefer somebody say Asian because I've just seen people call someone who's like Korean Chinese and they be like, I'm not Chinese, and
Yeah.
that's like offensive to them. So I think it would be better to just call them Asian if you're not sure what they are, or if you're just like, I don't even know the difference, then just call them Asian. Like, cause don't start like I feel like it's super offensive to just call somebody something where you don't even know.
Yeah. So I think we actually refer to Asians as almost like a phenotype, almost like as opposed like the people that look mongoloid, those are like that have us. Like there's a look that we see, and we call that Asian, and when there's another look, and then we call that Middle Eastern. So like I think so. Yeah, there is a part of Asia that we call Middle Eastern. And I think Indian gets their own. I don't even know why. We
Yeah,
have to
we
look
say
into why we
Indian.
separate that out. Indian, we separate that out from Asia for whatever the
Yeah.
reason. And then Middle Eastern, we don't call them Europeans or Asians, whichever, depending on where they're located. That's weird. I don't know. That's
I
weird.
mean, Russians aren't called Asians.
Or yeah, no, yeah, that's weird. I don't know. I don't know.
Like it's not continental based
Yeah.
for the most part, especially for the people who have had a race that's conquered other people at some point in history. They generally get their own name. So
I know for me, it's learned behavior. I picked this up from other people calling, other people call people this. So I started calling people this. I know
yeah,
as far as black folks.
we don't get super specific, but if it's enough of a
Yeah.
world power,
Yeah.
then they get their own delineation. I think
Mm-hmm.
if they got enough
So we got to
people
look
over
into
there,
it.
they start to get their own name. It's like it's a whole bunch of them. Okay, they get
A
their own
whole
name.
bunch of them. India, I know
Yeah.
they got their Chinese. You start calling Chinese out.
Yeah, so that's what I'm like. It's either a world power or they have enough, to we know them when we see them. So I think it's a power thing.
But Cameron has said he will say black instead of African American. and use the example of the Olympics. But Mark Lamont Hill responded with this. So again, Cameron
You agree with me?
specified nationality. I
He
want to
said
say
Black
that.
American.
Yeah. It go by Black over African American. And he, again, clarified nationality and used the Olympics as the example. I want you to listen where the dynamic goes in the response by Mark Lamont Hill.
It is uplifting. But with that platform, of course, comes a big responsibility because people look to you for insight. They look to you for advice. They shape their worldview based on what you say. So when you made that statement, it's going to have other people echoing it. And I want to make sure that we break down what's right about what you said and what's wrong about what you said. For me, saying you Black is cool. I often say I'm Black as opposed to African American because I don't want to exclude my brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, my brothers and sisters from the continent of Africa. In the United States, when you say you Black, it encompasses all of that because the police don't care if you came in on a boat last year or 400 years ago. When you don't get the job or you don't get the house or you don't get the credit or you don't get whatever it is because of your race, people don't care whether you are African from the continent, whether you're African from the Caribbean, whether you're African from the United States. So for me, Black in that way is a good framework to include all of us. I'm with that part of it. But we can't let go of Africa, my brother. And I'll tell you why. First of all, the idea that Africans don't fuck with us is, I think, not true. It's exaggerated and inflated. Africa is a continent and every country is different. Every region is different. The idea of even calling Africa a single place is something that really Europeans did. It happens in a way that ignores the fact that there's different tribes and different cultures and different civilizations, sometimes that aren't even connected by a country. So it's complicated. So I would never say all of Africa does this or all of Africa does that. But in general, what I would say is there's a long history of Africans on the continent connecting with Black folk here in the United States. When we were marching for civil rights, there were people in Accra, Ghana singing "We Shall Overcome." They were hearing our songs, they were hearing our music, they were hearing and witnessing our struggle. And as they fought for independence in countries like Ghana, they watched what we did and they felt a connection. In Sierra Leone, they feel a connection. In Ivory Coast, they feel a connection. In Cote d'Ivoire, they feel a connection. In South Africa, they feel a connection. When we were marching to end apartheid and to get Nelson Mandela out of prison, they certainly banged with Black Americans who were struggling with and for them. Are there some folk who don't? Are there some who ain't even Black? Look at North Africa, a whole bunch of Arabs. Are there people who come here and think they better than the average nigga on the street? Absolutely. And some of them got to get a nigga wake-up call when the police stop them and don't care what country they came from or how non-African American they are. So we understand all of that. But at the end of the day, we are a united people. And the extent to which we are disconnected is the extent to which white supremacy has wedged us apart. So the goal for us now is to bring everybody back together.
Boo, nigga, boo. Shut the fuck up. Boo.
Hey, but listen,
get that shit out of here.
I didn't know how to pronounce Cote d'Ivoire until just now. Like, just now. I had never heard that pronounced. It's exaggerated and inflated, but I'm shout out to him for using Arab. We had just talked about that.
Yeah.
Arabs.
We can't let go of Africa. They let go of our ass.
So what I noticed, like Cameron talked about nationality. That's why he goes with Black. Mark Lamont Hill responds and says, I use Black too because it's all encompassing for race. So he actually flipped it from nationality and uses Black for race, which is we've had that conversation. Right. Black as race, Black as nationality, Black as culture, Black as ethnicity. So they're both using Black and using Black differently. Mark Lamont says, I'll use Black as African American as my tie into Africa. And then Cameron says, I'm going to use Black to separate me from Africa. So that's the not like us. We're using the same word and meaning two totally different things, which I think is an important point. Oh, knock that phone stand off. That's gone. Was that my phone?
Like, damn.
No, that was my phone. Okay. Anyway.
I just like, can he stop? Like, I'm okay, no. Mm-hmm.
But did you notice that he framed his idea of race based upon how the police will treat him?
Yeah.
Like the police will treat him.
It was like everything. His is based off white supremacy, more so, I would say. Because he was talking about they don't get the loans. I mean, they be getting like special stuff as like immigrants who come in. Like there's definitely like certain things that they have access to that as a Black American I don't have access to. So like, let's not. Like there are certain like programs and certain things for
Yeah.
immigrants, people who come in here that like I just can't access as a Black American. So like let's not pretend we're all the same when it comes to loans and programs and like it's that whole thing. So I don't really agree with that.
Okay.
Boo.
Not respected. That wasn't my favorite definition or explanation either, especially in censoring it around how other people see you.
White
Because we're
people.
going to talk about white people.
He centered his race around whiteness, which I mean, Black is a term made by. I mean, yes, Black
Yes.
and whiteness are like they exist. They have a thing, so you can't have one without the other. So I get that, but like that's why I think we need to start reframing it as Black American as an ethnicity instead of like race, because as long as we stick to Black as being just like race, then we can't have anything without talking about whiteness.
One thing about these, I listen to these Black Studies professors, Karen Hunter and Dr. Greg Carr. Love them for different reasons, but I love them. And they, Dr. Carr calls it governance structure versus social structure. And a governance structure is how we see us, how we see ourselves as a group of people who self-identify similarly. And then social structure is how the dominant society sees us as the secondary group, the subclass or second class or whatever. How Black people are seen as compared to white people. When white people look at us, when we're judged by them, the white gaze, I guess that what you would call it, not GAZE, not GAYS.
White gaze.
Going to lose another sub there.
Yeah.
But there's language for this, like endonym and exonym. An endonym is the name for a geographical place, group of people, language, or other cultural elements that is used by the people who live there, who are part of the culture. And that's contrasted with an exonym, which is the name used by outsiders. So there's already language for how the in group sees a thing, sees themselves, and how an out group labels and sees them. So there's already like study out there, which we're going to talk about a little bit about social identity theory. We're going to touch a little bit on that, but we are going to get back to the video. Let me see.
You can't let go of Africa, bitch. I hated that. Yeah, I really hated it.
Breathe like this. Breathe like Scar. Like long live the motherland.
Like, I just hate that whole like pretending like we also aren't from like Native Americans too. Like most of us, like we're not just African. Like most of us have African and Native American because all the others were enslaved. Like all the people of color over here were put together and enslaved. So we're not just African. Some of us are Native American too. And like pretending that I have to hold on to that shit. And you ain't telling me to go to the what they got over there where the Native Americans be at.
The reservations.
The reservations, like you ain't coming with the same energy. So like, nah, if I'm too far removed to go over there to the reservation, I'm too far removed to be going over there with them people too. Like, let's stop playing. Let's stop playing. We just as disconnected. If I went over there to the reservation, they'd be like, I don't know what you is, but you ain't us. And it'd be the same if I went over to Africa. I promise you.
After Mark Lamont Hill took the nationality and flipped it and made Black about race, he then comes back with this, which I thought
call when the police stop them and don't care what country they came from or how non-African American they are. So we understand all of that. But at the end of the day, we are a united people. And the extent to which we are disconnected is the extent to which white supremacy has wedged us apart. So the goal for us now is to bring everybody back together. And why? We gotta recognize that our history and our roots are African. We are African people. When you
everybody from Africa
go through New York City and you meet somebody who's Italian or Irish or German or Indian, we don't say Irish American. We don't say, yo, my homie was dating this Irish American girl, or yo, my homie was tiptoeing out with this Italian American chick. Nah, right? We don't say, yo, the Indian American guy up the street gave me a hard time in the cab. We call them where they're from because that's their culture. That's their origin. That's their story. So when we disconnect ourselves from Africa by not calling ourselves African American, we advance the story. We echo the lie that our history began when slavery began.
I hate this nigga.
I wanted to point out how when he talked about Black people, he wants to use Black for race, but he argues that when you're talking about white people, instead of using white as a race, he goes with either nationality or ethnicity. Like he would
Yeah.
cling to one of those. So even in his mind, he doesn't have a consistent standard.
It was because he don't see it blacks as Americans. He got that. He probably got the same subconscious belief that we're not citizens here. We're not full citizens. I don't feel that way, so I can't relate. But it must be that. It has to be that. That's the only thing that makes sense. And also I hate that whole we don't call them Indian America because we're already in fucking America, and it's redundant to say American when you already in fucking America. Talking about somebody who live here. And a citizen, we don't say it because it's stupid. You wouldn't say that. It's like it's just English structure. Like we wouldn't say they're a citizen of America. We're in America talking about them. We would not say American. It's not all of this like is their story. It's like no, because like they are delineated because they clearly have the culture of this other place in their presentation. Like you can see them and you're like, this person is maybe not originally from here because they don't act like they're from here. And so you would specify, but like, I'm sorry, you're not going to meet me and be like, oh, she's probably African. Like,
right.
It's just not, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Him trying to make it this like, oh, it's a story. Like it's not, I don't fucking sound or seem African. That's why I'm not African American. Like it's so dumb.
I totally disagree with him as far as the way he's mixing and matching when he wants to go race and when he wants to go ethnicity. And I want to argue that another reason we don't use American, not just because we're here, because we see people all the time here. We don't know if they're American. We don't know that they're citizens. We just know that they're in America. We have no idea if anybody's a citizen on a visa. We have no clue on asylum. We have no clue. So I actually think we leave off American more because we're leaning into ethnicity. We're trying to identify that we can see traits that make them look like they're part of a certain ethnic group.
Right.
And that's where we go.
Group. But like we're all here, so it doesn't even matter whether they're American or not. We already here, and they already here. So at this point, they here. So like I don't really care. And like you said, and then also their ethnicity stands out more. So typically you're gonna point out that, oh, this person has a different ethnicity, even though they over here in America. So I don't know what they are, but if you talk to them, you start having some conversation with them, they will sometimes delineate themselves. They will say the whole thing. Like maybe their parent doesn't identify as whatever American because they weren't raised in America. They like immigrated over. So they identify more as an immigrant. But maybe a second or, first or second generation who was only raised here, they may identify more with that American identity. So they may call themselves this American, whatever that nationality is and an American. So, I mean, sometimes there is points where they may make that specification, but it's just going to depend on the context. So I just don't like this whole idea that we don't say this. It's like, I mean, at some point you just kind of become American after so many generations. You're just American now. So I don't know. It's just weird to be trying to make us hold on to African when it's like more than 3 generations out. Like we literally would have to get a blood test to have any idea of what maybe we have in us. And I feel like if it's that far removed, you don't even get to claim it.
I mean, that's reasonable. Greg is a white American African.
I don't have African culture, my culture. Right. I don't have African culture, and that's okay with me. Like, I think it's just this idea that there are Black people who are not comfortable in who we are and where we come from. Like, I just don't feel this need to like be connected to Africa at this point.
Yeah, I can respect that. I'm gonna get one more from Mark Lamont Hill before we get into some sidebar.
Feel you. There's a way that we are just American. When I travel, that blue American passport get me out of a whole lot of stuff. They don't care if I'm Black. They don't care for what. That blue and that green, the cash, gets me out of shit. I feel you. There's a way that we are American, and Black folks should never deny our Americanness because we built this country. You're right about that. At the Olympics, we Black. But I'm going to give you a sports example. When France wins, them African players that win the World Cup or win an Olympic gold medal for France, them Africans, when they win, they French. When they lose, they African. What does that mean? They never really forget that you ain't them. And here in America, them is white. So we are American. And also, we don't want to forget the fact that we got Black American traditions. Hip hop is a Black American tradition. The things we do, the clothes we wear, our styles are rooted in the fact that we are American and Black American, and we come out of a tradition of slavery. We are descendants of slavery. We need to be honest about that. I ain't denying any of that, but we got to be able to do both things at the same time. We got to be able to hold on to our Black Americanness and our African Americanness while simultaneously recognizing the fact that we are children of the motherland. So my brother, I'm going to respect.
So in that one, he goes from nationality, he goes ethnicity, and he goes culture, and he goes race. He went through all four of those in the same spiel. And I was like, wow. So even the academics are a little emotionally confused, like I was.
They just can't let go of white supremacy. And I'm not saying you can, but it's just like they feel like we have to be the ones to hold on to it, or it's gonna just, I'm like, we ain't got to do shit. Race is gonna racism. I mean, I don't know. Feels like that thing where we have to hold on to it, or it'll die with us. That'd be great. I don't really know. I don't really know
what you wanted to do,
what the goal is, but it just feels like I gotta hold on to the white supremacy. It's killing me. I don't know. I can't relate. I don't know.
He said, I can't relate. I'm so
can't.
sick of you. Hold up. So let me ask you a question before we get into the next little part of this. When we talked about Drake and Kendrick, is Drake Black, Bree?
Racially, yeah. If he want to be, yeah. Racially, he mixed.
So he's racially
I say he mixed.
Okay.
Like I feel like mixed is a legitimate race. Like you're not one or the other. So I mean, racially, he's mixed to me.
Mixed race, biracial, multiracial,
biracial.
that type of deal.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Got you.
Technically.
Okay. And let me see. So you said racially. What about like ethnicity, culture, and nationality? We know nationally he's Canadian.
He's Canadian. Right.
Now, culture and ethnicity. What would you give him for culture and ethnicity?
I mean, now I know we were having that conversation the other day, and it was like basically he was raised as like a Jewish, like kind of more white culture and like Jewish culture, and maybe like I don't know if he was affluent. I don't know if his parents had money, but like he seemed to have been kind of raised in another culture that wasn't like Black culture. Even for Toronto, it doesn't sound like he was raised in the Black Toronto culture. So, but I also don't know what the inside Canadian language is, how they delineate themselves. But I wouldn't. So I don't know what they say over there. I don't know if they say Black, white. I don't know if they got other little subgroups. So I can't say what he is, but I wouldn't say he Black, right?
A Black, white,
so
Canadian.
I mean, he
Canadian.
I feel like he Canadian. I can't speak to ethnicity because I don't know Canadian Black culture to say what they call themselves. He ain't Black American though.
I mean, yeah.
I wouldn't
Black
consider
Canadian.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but I just don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't know Canadians to know how they delineate.
Got you. I got you. I understand, and that's fair. Like that's like what you were talking about earlier. I don't know enough to know. I don't know, and it's okay to say I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that. I get. That's perfect. My mom is the same way. Interesting. Yeah, he's confused. Okay, so I got another question. Not just Drake. I want to ask you about this lady here. Because we're trying to, what is when we see something, when we hear something, how do we know it's Black? So Drake is Black he's racially Black or biracial. We don't know enough about the culture in Canada to know what his culture is or ethnicity. We know Kendrick accused him of appropriating rap or hip hop culture, which can also be further delineated down between rap and hip hop. But we know he was charged with appropriation. And we know his nationality is Canadian. So that's Drake. But what about this Brie? Tell me, what is this?
What is this?
Annette Adoyobo.
Crown, Miss Texas.
So
this
Miss
is
Texas.
Confusion. This is confusion. I don't know what the hell this is. I don't know what pageant culture is. But she might have been born and raised, and she the first immigrant. I don't know if she an immigrant, like her parents immigrated, or she literally got here last week. I don't know what that means.
Well, if she didn't immigrate, she wouldn't be an immigrant. She'd be a citizen.
But you also know we be ignorant sometimes, so I don't know. You know what I'm
So you
saying?
don't
I
even
don't know
trust. You don't even
because
trust the labels that we use because
no,
we use
because
it
a lot
so
of times
erroneously.
you can use your history if it's close enough to enter into spaces like because her
Okay.
parents may have immigrated here, and so technically by some definition she can enter into she would be classified as an immigrant, but maybe she was
Okay.
raised in Texas her whole life. I don't know, so that's why I don't always trust it at cuff, because this is a title for a competition. Like she may have been an immigrant, like, but if she first generation American, she was born and raised in Texas, I mean, shit, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I
All
guess.
right. So, what if you were to guess? What would you say
Mhm.
her ethnicity was? Would you call her African
Well,
American
it
since
say
she's
she Ghanaian.
Ghanaian?
Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Ghanaian. Is that how you say it? That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure enough. Sure. Why not?
Without knowing that, I mean, if it's close enough for her to be claiming it, and she, I mean, if she's connected to that culture, that's what I would call her. Like,
Okay. So she's an African American.
She an African American to me. Yeah. I would say she's an African American or Ghanaian, whatever how you say that. American.
Yeah, Ghanaian American.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ghanaian American. And then like I wouldn't know just by looking at her where she was raised too. Cause like let's say her parents immigrated over here and they grew up in the hood where the black Texans are, like, you know, the descendant of slave blacks are. Like, let's say she was first generation American and she grew up in that culture. Like, it could be that, but she could have grew up in like an immigrant area. Like I know in Georgia we had those where you got these incubated areas where they pretty much just all together. So even though they're over here, their kids are still very much almost raised incubated in that culture. Versus some of them may move into the hood. Like maybe they was an immigrant and they moved to the neighborhood I grew up in. You know what I'm saying? So then they would be more ingrained in black culture. So you really just can't say. It's where she was born and where she was raised. So like if she was born and raised in a place where all the people from Ghana hung out at when they moved to Texas, then I would say she's more Ghanaian than that doesn't necessarily mean she's black or the black American like me. But if they was in the hood with the garden variety blacks, then, you know, if I heard her talk, I probably could pick up on it. Yeah, if I heard her talk, I would have to see her talk and how she holds herself to kind of get a feel. I can't tell from the picture.
I got you. I got you. Shout out to Brother Darkness in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through, Brother Darkness. Now, let me ask you this question. What are your personal feelings, if you care to share, about things like that where it feels like I don't know a good word for it. But when there's things that you think would be going towards for a black American, so to speak, I'm gonna use that. I'm a black person. Things that you would think a black person, not racially, but ethnically black American, when it's given to somebody who's an immigrant or second generation, do you have feelings or care about that at all? I know we talk about that with acting. You're muted, but
I was
I know
gonna
we also
say,
talk about that with acting as well.
yeah, like I find that I don't feel no type of way about it because I know some black people would say, "Hey, Brother Darkness." Some black people would say they don't know what black culture. We don't have a culture. Our culture is trash. So like, I feel like a lot of black people over here just feel a certain way about our culture. So I don't really care. If like, you know, people who have studied, we have a culture because other people who not born and raised in it can emulate it. They know it when they see it, even if we don't fucking know it. So like, there's a lot of black people have a weird complex with our culture. So I can understand why we don't rush to, you know, like a lot of black people feel like success is not being casted into that typical black person role. So maybe they're not even trying to take them roles. You know what I'm saying? Because a black American, because of our history, would be like, I don't want to do the tap, you know, I want tap dance. So I don't want it to be, I don't want to get them roles. So a lot of times, yeah, it's other people from outside who maybe don't have that same feeling about it who come and take those roles. So I don't really feel that way about it because I understand the complexities of it being from the actual culture. And then as far as like, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these immigrants aren't like us, and they know it when it come time to fill out them forms and get loans and get certain, you know, kickbacks that, you know, immigrants get and stuff like that. They know when, and then when you want to be black, they can kind of move fluidly into it because of that Mark Lamont Hill guy saying, well, if you brown, we welcome you in. So
Can't let
Yeah,
them
we
go.
welcome you in. You one of us because the police see you as one of us, and that's still not always fucking true. So like, whatever. But they get to move in between, so they maybe get to blend in with black people when it's convenient. But then when that special scholarship come along for the immigrants, they can get that too. So I mean, there's not really a lot for me that I can't get that they taking, unless it's something for people of color, which is why I don't fuck with that term. A person of color,
Okay.
I don't fuck with that term. But it ain't really a lot of shit for us. That's the whole point. It ain't really a lot of stuff for black descendant of slave Americans. Period.
Mhm.
So they ain't taking nothing because it ain't shit for us.
Yeah, that ethnicity gets locked out of a lot because
Right.
for some reason identifying that ethnicity and targeting that ethnicity for benefits is almost like illegal here, which is why I'm always like I'll always
They
acknowledge
just won't do it.
anti-blackness. Yeah,
You
and
ain't gonna
everybody
see
everybody
nothing for
refuses.
like descendant of slaves. It ain't hardly
Right.
nothing. You can see Native American. You got that 1/8
Mhm.
or whatever. I think it's 1/8 or whatever like that. You got stuff for you. It ain't no black descendant of slave shit out here.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. Now I do feel me personally, I have a weird feeling, and I don't know, it hasn't, because it's not in my everyday life like impactful, like obviously impactful. Like seeing the replacement, like it does make me feel a certain like uncomfortable, a dis-ease. I feel a dis-ease because it feels like, man, black's not going to be black eventually. Like the black, when we're talking about black American, that ethnicity, that's not going to be what people are talking about at one point. Like that is, we're not going to be talking about the same thing I grew up with. But I'm also not sure that that's a bad thing either, because like you talked about, there's a lot of upward mobility. There's a lot of a different culture that's more open to or promotes education and work ethic, as opposed to a lot of part of our black culture. So I'm not even mad necessarily, but it's like there's a part of me that feels like part of me is getting erased, like that erasure thing that
Mm-hmm.
white people talk about a lot of time. I feel like that. I
Yeah.
feel that Jews will not replace us. I feel some of that, but I also feel like,
Right.
dag, some of us, like we might need to be replaced. Like I feel like both sides at war when I think about that.
Like it's going to be replaced. Yeah, because I think the other side, I mean, both sides maybe feel that way as racism becomes like it's not, it's not okay. Things are actually moving forward. Like those ideas, race, black, white being racially specific is going to be lost over time
Okay.
because it's so built on racism. But that's why we can just change it to mean culture. Like we can just say black American to mean the culture instead of just race. And then you won't feel like your culture getting lost because it can't be lost. As long as black people exist in America and are raised around other black people, there will always be a black culture. It's not going to get lost.
Okay.
It's just going to change.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point. On this next clip, which one is the next clip? I gotta ask this question. I want to ask the chat as well. Bree, is Kamala Harris, VP Kamala Harris? Is she,
Nope.
is she black?
Negatory. I don't give a fuck. She not. They never got me with that shit. She not black. She don't even try. She don't even fucking try. Get her out of here. We'll take
So when
Barack.
you say
Barack was my one get in card. I took Barack.
okay, so you
Hawaii
say she's
is
not
kinda
black.
like, yeah.
What is she to you?
Where
And
she
when
was
you say
raised
she's
at?
not,
Hold on,
are
let
you
me
saying
be
she's
fair.
not racially black? She's not
She not
ethnically
racially black.
She's not. Okay.
Ain't her mama Indian?
I think her mom's Indian and her father's though is Jamaican. If I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
so once again,
Bars.
so where was she raised? Let me see.
I believe she was born in America.
She was raised in Cal.
But
Okay,
Jamaican,
Jamaicans
Jamaicans are racially black.
Racially, she not black. Culturally, she
Jamaicans are black.
Racially, she's okay. So you want to say racially, she black?
So she's biracial, black or biracial.
She biracial.
There you go. Okay.
I mean, but her parents, she brown people. She a person of color. Y'all want to say she black? I'm cool with it. I don't care. Racially, you could say she's black. I guess I don't. I feel like she's Jamaican and Indian. She's like both. Like she's mixed.
Okay.
Because like most of the time, that's what I'm saying. Like black to me is a very American thing. Like or like certain countries where racism, like maybe UK or something. But like it just doesn't. Countries where everybody black is not a thing.
Right.
That's why it's weird for me, right? Because if you if you go to Jamaica, like Canada, and talk about this, everybody fucking black. So like I've heard
You don't
people
have to say
talk about
black.
that
It's moot.
who from other countries with everybody black and they come here and they're black. And it's like, that's weird because where I'm from, everybody's like me. So it's not even no
Yeah.
point. You know what I mean? So that's why it's
I
hard for
got you.
me to say she's black
Yeah.
racially.
Okay.
Because they're brown people. And then, I mean, if she was raised in Oakland, I don't know what that means. I don't know, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
You don't know what her experience
I
is
don't know
because she was raised in the
where
area.
she could have been. Her parents could have had money, and so they had her around
Yeah.
all white folks. Like, once again, until you start hearing somebody talk or dealing with them or hearing about their experiences, it's gonna be hard for me to label what their cultural experience is. But
She's
to me,
AKA.
okay, so okay, y'all can say she black. I don't know her childhood. Like, for me, I really look at those formative years. It's not to say that you can't
Okay.
enter into the culture and become steeped in it and like then become a part of it at some point in your life. But until I know what her formative years were like, I really can't say. I don't know enough about. But I just, for me, it's not giving black. It's not giving black. That's
All
what I
right.
know.
So black. She's not exuding blackness.
It's not giving black.
culturally.
It's giving like it. Well, it's kind of like maybe like debutante, or it just feels like she had this like maybe this other black experience. So I'm not gonna take that away from her. So I can't say that. Just like Amanda Steinfeld, I can't take away her experience as a person of color or a black presenting person in America. So I'm not gonna say that. I just don't know what it is. But it's not giving my type of black. But I'm from the hood, so I'm not gonna. But I'm gonna be fair. She was raised over here. She brown, so she black. I don't trust that bitch though.
There you go.
She black. There we go. I fixed it.
Well, listen,
I
I'm gonna
changed.
play this
I got
clip.
a chicken bone in my hand. My bad. Yeah.
Not do your thing. Each way. I'm about to play this 2.5-minute clip. This is a journalist and well-known conservative personality, Jason Whitlock, but he's actually speaking to another guy. I can't remember what the other guy is, but they're going to talk about Kamala Harris. Is she black?
This whole, and I know she went to Howard, and I know she's an AKA, but like acting like Kamala Harris is Harriet Tubman, or hell, even Oprah Winfrey. This is she's Indian and something else, and she's married to
Jamaican.
a white man, and she's Jamaican, and it's just like I just don't get it. Like, she's homegirl from around the way, soul sister number one. I don't get it. Who can make that sell? She's not even trying. Well, I guess she occasionally does try to play that role, but it's just not true.
Well, I guess I think this goes into a deeper conversation on racial identity. Who is black? Who holds claim to blackness, right? Who's the arbiter of blackness? I see this a lot online. It tends to cut, on black means black American, ADOS, FBA, everybody else, the immigrants, the tethers, right, are not really black. They are whatever their national identity is. And as part of it is that, and then part of it is, goes back to the one drop rule, right? So it's like, okay, well, if you're black and something else, are you really black? And I mean, I think those are interesting conversations to have. I don't subscribe to plantation logic per se, but I mean, if she claims it, right, and she says, hey, I'm black, I'm a black VP, I'm not necessarily gonna fight with it, but I will say this, Jason, when the Associated Press covered her swearing in years ago when she was a senator, it was Kamala Harris with a bunch of other Indian Americans who have been elected to Congress. She was on the Indian American video, not the African American video. So, for whatever that's worth. But I think the perception that she is black, same way with Obama, is one that's there, that resonates. And I think a big part of it is that there's such a deep, deep desire within our community to have, one, representation in every area of society, and two, there's this notion that if we get the right people in, then they're going to fix all of our problems. And I think the uplift through politics strategy that the black community has hitched its wagon to for the better part of 60 years has been a complete and utter failure at this point. And I think at a certain point, we got to be honest with ourselves and say, we need to do something.
All right, I did like that point he's making about politics. I just did that stream about, we're wasting your time there. But I wanted to point out though, what I don't respect about what he said. I thought he was very intelligent, and articulate, except for the part where he said, "I don't do plantation logic." So he's like, I don't do the whole like identifying who's black, who's not. What she identifies is good for me. But then he followed that up with inference. But I'm going to infer that she's not black by saying that the Associated Press, which is not her, she doesn't control the Associated Press. Yeah, right. She's with the Indian Americans. So that's what some other group identifies her with, this group of people, and I'm going to infer something with that by throwing that in there. Why would you throw that in there? We're not talking about the Associated Press, what their political leanings are, how they identify people by race. That wasn't even the conversation. What do you think about her or not? But he threw it in there to kind of say she wasn't with the black folks.
She slides. I mean, and that's why I say they have a unique experience that is not my experience, because they slide often between whatever. Like, I'm sure if she had to get in the room using Indian American, she could do that. If she wanted to get in the room being black, she can do that. So it's like she has this experience of being both, kind of like a mixed race maybe person in some ways. Like they're not fully here and they're not fully there. And I think we should just like, it's not really like gatekeeping or keeping them out. It's just acknowledging that their experience is more layered than someone who is born and raised here and their parents were from here and their grandparents. Like, I can't slide into the Indian American congressional meeting. I can't get in on the scholarship with Jamaican parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like y'all still ain't like us, but it's cool. Like, you did have the experience of a black person, black presenting person in America. So I'm not gonna take that away from you. Right. But you also be sliding. You be Indian some days. Y'all probably be eating Indian shit at the house. Like, come on.
No, but is there something wrong with that? If they're legitimately both Indian and Jamaican, but I think a lot of times as black, ethnically speaking, black Americans, like, I think from that group, a lot of times we diminish them for having dual experiences, like having dual citizenship. I think a lot of times we resent that, the fact that they can slide in and out. I think a lot of times I hear that in our language.
It's annoying because in some ways you're doing the sliding thing, but it's like you trying to act like you like us and you're not. Like, it's cool. Like, you don't have to be me. You not me. You have a more, that's what I'm saying. You have a more layered experience than me. Like, you may come over here and you are treated like you black like me by in some spaces, but then you also have a rich culture from your parents that you maybe still engage with. Like, your mom's Indian, your dad's Jamaican. So like, you got 3 layers, you know, of experience. Like, maybe you go back to India sometime, you go to Jamaica often. Like, you don't have to pretend to be me. That's why it's annoying. Like, I'm not gonna pretend you me and you don't gotta be me. Like, it's fucking annoying. You have a whole different experience. And it's not like mine. And don't pretend like you know my experience. And that's when it starts to get annoying. Because you're going to get up there in front of the camera and act like you know what it's like to be me. And you don't. That's all I'm saying. You're going to act like you know what it's like to be me, to get me to vote for you.
Okay.
But you don't. And then we see it every time. When they get up in there, they don't relate. So it's like, they don't even see the issues we see because they probably haven't experienced some of the issues we have experienced. So it's like, you can't, it's like if I accept her as me, then when she doesn't see what I see, then I'm be like, oh, she screwed me over. And it's like, no, she might not really fucking know.
Yeah.
Or care. Because it doesn't affect her.
No, that makes sense. I'm gonna play this next video. This is the last one from Jason Whitlock. But Bree, I want to ask you before I play that: who gets to decide and define who's black? Who gets to make that determination? Like the guy said, who's the arbiter of blackness?
Such a fucking stupid question. It's such a dumb question. Like, we don't go to the courthouse and get labeled these things. This is based off how you present and like what formed you in your formative years. Where were you? What was your experience? Who were you around? Who do you choose to be around? What music you listen to? What do you eat? Like, let's stop acting like it's somebody who put it on the thing. We can know. I know when I'm talking to a garden variety black person. The people from the culture decide if people in the culture. How about that?
Okay. People within get to decide who, like, was that the endonyms versus the exonyms?
Yeah, we can tell. It's not no being funny. We can just tell.
The
And
in
there's
group decides who's in the group.
yeah, and it's like subgroups within blackness. That's what I was saying. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
get on Amanda Steinfeld, who's like the girl who plays Star Wars. She mixed. But it's like affluent black kids have their own black experience. I'm not gonna take that away. They black. They black American. They have a very unique, affluent black experience that's
Yeah.
also legit. So they might not be my subgroup of black, but they still black. And I don't think anybody would be. I mean, I feel like most people give her a hard time as white people, honestly. But like I, as a black person, I never question if Amanda Steinfeld is black. I'm not gonna be like, she not black because her dad's white. She grew up here. But I don't know.
Hillary did carry hot sauce. White people determine who is black. Black people determine who is white. Think about it.
Yes. Well, maybe. But
Maybe.
still, the group determines who go with who.
All right. This is Jason Woodlock on The Culture.
Willie, he's so worried about being in good standing in a culture that hasn't been defined by black people, been defined by Hollywood and the music industry and the people that control Hollywood and the music industry. I won't go into that because I don't want to upset you all today, but you know, again, it's their culture.
So is black culture, or I guess the hip hop rap subculture, is that being created by media?
No.
Or is it okay? I know you mentioned rap and hip hop culture as being related to black culture.
Yeah.
But how do you see that relationship between hip hop rap culture and black culture?
Art imitates life. And even if you try to like make something, if you put something out there that's so unrelatable to black people, we would not vibe to this shit.
That's a good point.
Like at some point, it's a feedback loop. It's not like they just force feed us culture. It's a feedback loop. If they put out some shit that black people was like not rocking with, they would stop doing that shit immediately. So because they at the end of the day want to sell stuff. So it's like, yeah, no. Like if black people are relating to it and they see that and say that's us, then it's us. I don't understand why people do that. You mean to tell me this whole industry that black people literally emulated, it emulates them and then they emulate it and it's like a feedback loop. I'm just like, there's no way you're going to tell me that black people don't see themselves in it, but still buy it and consume it and continue to model themselves after it. Like, that's just kind of crazy.
No, I think you're right. I can see that. How big of a part, though, do you think the media and art play in our culture formation and identity formation?
It plays a part to some degree, like, but it's like a packaged version of it, so it's not as deep. Like it's not
reinforceable.
It's not, so it's not as deep. It's got to come. We have to the culture reinforces it, I think. Mm-hmm. So like if it was put out and people didn't take it and then it was like pervasive in the streets and like it's a feedback loop. So it's real hard with feedback loops to say chicken or the egg. It's like really hard to say which one is doing which because they feed each other. So I don't know. It's really hard to say, but I think it's equal almost to some degree. It can affect the culture, but I've seen some stuff they tried to put on black people that black people just was like, we are not fucking. That is not us. Like, get that shit out of here.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
So.
No, that's real.
Yeah. And I wanted to comment on this because I find it interesting that people hear what Kendrick said about Drake and deciding that Kendrick is saying he's white. And I never like in They Not Like Us. It just feel like that's not the main point to me. Like you could infer it maybe just because of some of the terms are loaded in blackness and whiteness is so intertwined, but it doesn't feel like that was the point. So that I'm just gonna say that.
All right. See, made Lil Nova nervous. He thought he was about to get.
He got scared.
Thought he was about to get red for Phil. Thought he was about to get red for Phil.
Just context clues. That's all I'm saying. Take it off. Take it off. Oh man, that's so funny. Why
Oh
you say
shoot.
take it off?
Now, before we get into the next little round of videos, because we're going to go to Yvette Carnell in a second. I
Okay.
wanted to get into like a little bit more of the ethnicity thing, a little bit more of the ethnicity thing. So I went and looked
Mhm.
at a couple of groups. I went and looked at FBA and ADOS because those are the two
Okay.
popular terms that come up as far as people who I black identity groups, black identity groupings.
Do they
Um,
disagree with each other? The ADOS and the
slightly,
FBA people? Okay.
slightly.
Okay.
So this is about the flag. This is some they're breaking down the flag, and I saw the word ethnic come up, and I was like, perfect. So I
Um,
even though it was my error, like trying to separate Black American out as excuse me, nationality, like 'cause I feel like there's a distinction to be made between Black and American because when people say American, it's never a Black person that they envision. So like it feels different, but with their ethnically, we're different. So I have to in my mind I now have it clear ethnically, like it says in here, who make up the
mhm.
ethnic group that will become foundational Black Americans. Now, I may not use that term, foundational Black Americans, but I like
Yeah.
that I now understand, have a clear understanding that it's an ethnic group that I'm referring to
Right.
when I say Black. And they identify the Black Aboriginal people of North America, the Black explorers and traders, and the captives or the people who were enslaved that were brought to the Western Hemisphere. Like those are the people they identify as foundational Black Americans, as the beginning of an ethnic group, a shared history and heritage of those
Right.
early Black people who were brought here in different ways, or came here, brought or came here, or were already here before the slave
Mhm.
ship. So that's how they originally identify it.
Right.
Foundational Black American is any person classified as Black who can trace their bloodline lineage back to the American system of slavery. To be designated as an FBA, at least one parent must come from a non-immigrant background in the United States of America. If a person's matrilineal and patrilineal lineage traces back to slavery in the Caribbean, they are not considered a foundational Black American. So FBA nationality is heavily tied
Mainland.
into, yeah, got to be from the mainland.
The mainland. Okay.
And then this is when they talk about the danger of dual allegiances, which I thought was interesting.
Oh,
Historically,
interesting.
there have been two types of half FBA individuals:
Interesting.
loyalists to their FBA lineage and heritage, so they know their FBA and they stick to their Black side. I'm gonna call it the Black side. And then
Right.
the anchored tethers, who view FBA society or Black society as a group to exploit and ultimately replace. So when people use that
Uh-oh.
word tether, that's what they're talking about. People who use
Parasite.
Blackness to exploit. Yes, yes.
Mm.
So I thought that was interesting. Like I called a tether once. I was like, huh, that's interesting. I don't even know what that word means. Now I know. Now I know.
Yeah, I've heard it. I didn't know that's what it
And
meant. Okay.
yeah, I didn't know either. And this was a comment somebody put. ADOS is FBA, and ADOS is American Descendant of Slaves. Previously known as African American, is a Black ethnicity. So even this person knew it was an ethnicity. I was the ignorant person. Set of
Mhm.
customs within the United States comprising a plurality of its Black population. And then it go on the screen. Look, but I was like, okay, this person they knew. So I was like, I should have been more studied. I just wasn't studied enough. And the ethnicity, that word just escaped my lexicon. It was just never a part of my dialogue. So I have
Vocabulary.
to be better about that. So shout out to my aunt Speaks and Hanifa. Also, shoot, what was her name? Over the top. I can't remember. Over the top is the only name I WME, but I can't remember the rest of it. And this other lady, they had this conversation, and it's in the description now. The
Mhm.
conversation between Cameron and Mark Lamont Hill, a conversation I'm going to go to with Yvette Carnell of ADOS, and this conversation from I Speaks with Hanifa. They're all in the description if anybody ever wants to go and view those in full. But they talked about social identity theory. So this is kind of like the ism. But
Right.
in social psychology, the study of the interplay between personal and social identities. Social identity theory aims to specify and predict the circumstances under which individuals think of themselves
Mhm.
as individuals or as group members. The theory also considers the consequences of personal and social identities for individual perceptions and group behavior. So we're always a self and part of various groups. We have those Venn diagram type overlaps. We have like concentric circles. We're in multiple zones at once, and it's hard sometimes to delineate those in our minds. I know it is for me. And they went on to talk about the in group versus out group, which is kind of like what Nova was talking about in the chat. One of the most prominent preference-based explanations of in-group favoritism is in social psychology is rooted in work from the social identity approach and posits that people simply have a stronger desire, i.e., a social preference, to help in-group members relative to out-group members. And I think all of us understand that. Like that's where stuff like nepotism or cronyism, whatever the in-group is, friends, family, people in your community, people that all cheer for the same team. We have preference for people that we have similarities to, that we connect with and identify with, and we prefer them over people in out groups, people we don't identify with, which is a group that is distinct from one's own, and so usually an object of hostility or dislike in comparison to the in group. At least, even if it's not hostility or dislike, there's at least like skepticism or like a reticent nature, like let me standoffishness. That's the very least that'll happen if it's an out group because you don't know. You're kind of operating from a deficit, a knowledge deficit. You're unfamiliar, uncomfortable. So that's in group versus out group. I swear, I thought you said
Oh, when you
ADOS.
say ADOS. Yeah.
Nope. The Black Americans who had contact before Columbus going to need some more info on that. You know where to get that G search in.
The thing about it is hearing like a lot of Black people take on stuff. It's just like even in itself to me, it's just like so Black. It just be like even the culture in itself, it's just like how it takes on things. It's just like it's crazy when I hear Black people say like we don't have culture or something like that. It's just like that's so Black to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's crazy, like how of the culture it is to say we have no culture. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, it's
there's a lot of mental rejection. Like we reject a lot of things like superficially,
contrarianism, like
contrary,
just like
very contrary.
Or just like rejecting a lie. And I can understand where that comes from, like historically. Like that you have to have that ability to kind of keep going when you know like there's a whole group of people who want you eradicated, probably. Like, I mean, that's tough. A little delulu probably is needed here. But we still holding on.
Emotionally, I can see that.
Yeah, like emotionally, like, I mean, there was a time where we probably had to be delulu just to like keep going. But I do feel like we need to go ahead and let that go. It's time for, I think, Black identity, social identity to kind of evolve a little bit. And I think we haven't. I think, or there's some people who, I don't know why we haven't, but I just feel like we need to evolve it. And
oh, my 5-year-old just spilled my tamarind shells all over the floor. I had to walk away. Listen.
Yeah, them kids listening again. Do it again. But yeah, I think we need to start some Black people need to start rethinking how they feel about their own Blackness. Because I hear it, and a lot of it is just like really sad to me. I'm just gonna be honest, like it'd be real sad when I start hearing some Black people talk about how they feel.
Yeah. So shout out to Hanifa and my aunt for having that conversation they had. Social identity theory, like, because that's a lot of that's trying to give language and structure to our thoughts as opposed to leaning into trying to feel this out, because there's actual knowledge to be had and the actual understanding and groundwork, foundation. Like there's a foundation of understanding that we could actually jump off from, as opposed to filling everything out in every conversation with every new person we meet, and we got to fill it out. And well, how do you feel about Blackness? What do you think?
What are you saying? And what are you thinking? It's like, oh my God, it just gets so triggering. Just to hear that, or just like, I don't know, or just like part of the frustration is that I just think Black has become, it's easy to just lump bad behaviors in with us. Like Black American culture. Like that's kind of my issue with it, that a lot of bad behaviors that sometimes aren't even our culture, just by default because of like how a lot of Black people feel about Black culture, it's just like a lot of stuff just getting lumped in with us, and we just like take it as like Black people were saying.
Is there something in your head when you say that? Is there something you're thinking
like
about?
I was even saying like with the Amanda Steinfeld thing, like you go in the comments of that video you sent me, and it was like I bet most of those people coming in there was like white people. It just feels like white people to me. It feels very like these are white people coming in about her Blackness, because it was like, oh, you're so oppressed, and you're rich, and it's like that's a very white comeback to what she's actually saying.
Like so, now just to credit that, I do get that we have a lot of privilege. That, but it's like it doesn't negate the fact that we also have a plane. Like so, I hate that. Like, okay, somebody, if somebody like comes in with goes into the hospital, they got a cut on their arm, but look at all the body parts that you have that are just fine. Like that's so, you know what I'm saying? It's silly, but like they don't think
I know
about it
some
like
black
that.
people do that too. Like once they feel like if a
Yeah,
black
they
person
do.
got money, they
They do.
can't complain about nothing, and it's like,
True.
what? How
Yeah, I
is
remember
that?
during
That's
the faith conversation. I remember, was it Yella
Mhm.
and them where they were like, I don't think it was Yella. I think it was My So-Called Life from Rico. They were like, they got money, so they can't. They did that thing.
Yeah.
It was
Oh
something
yeah.
about
When they
money.
was talking about it, if you got money, you can't have
Yeah.
no problems with nothing. You can't. Like it's just
Yeah.
like that's a very strange idea to me. So like even when Amanda was talking about the discourse about her race, and people were like, "Oh, you're so oppressed," and it's like,
Yeah.
like what? I don't. People can't follow a main thought. So, but we see that. We see that all the time. We start talking about this, like people saying that Kendrick was calling Drake white. I just be like,
Yeah.
okay, Rick Ross did, but
Yes, Rick Ross did.
Rick Ross did. Rick Ross, but that's like very Atlanta too. That's still very Atlanta. Because when I think about like Cali, I feel like Cali is so mixed. Like I feel like there are areas, but I feel like in general, like when I think of Cali or anytime I meet Cali people, they just feel like they're very like it's more of a melting pot. Like my stepdaughter lives there, and like the immigrants and the black people, it's kind of feels more like a class thing in Cali to me. Like if you're broke, you just all together, kind of for the most part. And they may have had more experiences with other races, but they're just poor. But like in Atlanta, it's not like that. Like it's not like that at all. It's very like Atlanta's very segregated. Like class is segregated still to race. So like all the poor people would not be together in Georgia. So it's different. So even like Rick Ross calling Drake white feels very like Black Atlanta culture, because you would not have the poor Black people with the Hispanics or the Latinos or the whites. So like it's still a very like it just felt like my culture when I heard that. But then Kendrick not pointing at that felt very like that would be a Cali person, that they wouldn't really care about that. It's about respecting the culture, listening about your race, you know?
Your race. Yeah. So like you're down south, it's more because you said it's more segregated. So race and class are more tied together. So if you're not a part of this class of people, you're probably a different race. But out there,
and it's like
poor
race
or money.
It's actually race first versus I think over there is class 1st. So like there's so like all the rich people stay on this side, like north. All the poor people are south, right? But then like all the races are separate still. So like the poor white people are here, the poor Black people are here, the poor Asians are here, the Somalis are here. So like nobody's mixing at all across classes still. So like somebody calling somebody white is just like more in the forefront down here, I think. So Rick Ross calling him white makes sense to me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because you would never meet a Drake. Like down
Why
here,
you say that?
Like from Atlanta, if Drake is who he is, let's just say even if he wasn't Canadian, he was rich or he had Jewish or like white upbringing, I would never run across Drake.
Okay. Because it's that segregated.
It's that segregated.
Even though he's biracial, he just wouldn't be.
He wouldn't be around me. He'd probably be up by Chastain Park or something. Like he'd be up there, and like even the rich Black people hang out together, and the rich white people, and like I just wouldn't run across him.
Okay.
So it just is that segregated. Like every class and every group is segregated in Atlanta.
Sorry to hear that.
He said, "Sorry to hear that." I mean,
it's probably again like everything. There's pros and cons to everything.
It makes probably it a good place for incubating culture, though.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
I think that's why Atlanta is. Yeah, it's like it's very hard for culture to get watered down. Even though now it's changing, like with TikTok and stuff, and just because of like certain areas.
Transplants probably.
All the transplants, and then there's certain areas where things kind of mix. Like downtown is just kind of like downtown, so it's not hostile. If you go to these other areas, it's not like a hostility there. It's just like people just be around their own people. But you can go over there. You can go to where the Asians be at. You can. They're not gonna be like, it's a black person. So like it's segregated but not hostile, I would say.
Yeah, we got their own little vacuum, their own little silos.
I like it. I prefer it.
Okay. Hey, listen. Everybody got their thing.
I lived in other cities where it wasn't that way, and it was uncomfortable not knowing where to go when I wanted to see me. I don't know. It was very like
when I wanted to see
me. Like it was times where I'd be like, bitch, I just want to hear some like AAVE, hear some trap music, eat some wings somewhere. Like I just want to be around like my people sometimes. And I had nowhere I could go. Like it was just kind of like, and like my brother would be infuriated because he would want his hair cut a specific way. And it's just like, I wish I knew a neighborhood where I could like go get my lineup done right. It was just like, or I wanted to get braids, and it was just like, damn, nobody out here can't fucking braids. Like,
you want a place where you can, where ethnic censored services and goods are available. Because right now you need to know where to go to get hair products. Certain foods you got. You're right.
Oh my God, I was looking for a wig. I was like, damn, y'all ain't got no. I'm like, y'all ain't got no part of town where like all the good beauty supply stores at. Bitch, I can't get a fucking lace front. Like, it was tiring.
Yep.
It's tiring.
Because even out here, we have certain plazas or something. We have certain areas, but it's like it's not a whole area.
Areas in them real mixed cities, or like where it's just not a big black population, is tiring. Like I just hated it. I hated that, and then, like even it's tiring. It's exhausting me. Even when I would date other races, like eventually I'd be like, I am so tired of y'all. Not knowing what the fuck black is. Like, y'all just don't know. I'm just being black right now. Like, oh my God, this is so annoying. I'm just being black. Like, I'm so tired of having to be like, I'm being black right now. And be like, what is happening? What is happening right now? I'm being black.
I mean, but that's a thing. I mean, there are certain cultural things like behaviors and attitudes that just do not translate very well. I found that out. Does not translate well. I'm like,
they're like, what is happening right now?
Ooh,
what do you mean what's happening?
I would tell you, like, one of the things that got me being around when I was around white people was like their comfort around sexual fluidity. Like before I was around sexually fluid people, and I like they would say stuff and do stuff, and I'm like, and I'm clenched up, like you say, I'm clenched up, and I'm like even in conversation, I'm like,
conservative. Black people are so conservative. I remember sitting at a table with this dude talking about how he hooked up with like a college roommate, like a guy, like when he was like in college, and he was like telling like we were at the table with his wife and everything, and it was just like, oh my God, that's so crazy, Casey. Like it was wild to me. I was like, y'all be getting down, okay?
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, black people really be conservative. Like, I mean, because at that point I hadn't got out and explored yet for real. Like I went to a white elementary school, but I went back to my neighborhood schools like around middle school. So I was just like, oh, y'all really be with the shit. I like it. I loved it.
Yeah, of course.
That's when I was like, I got to go outside. It's time to go outside.
It's time to go outside.
Go outside. So I mean, that's when I decided I wanted to go outside, and I did. I was like, yep, I'm gonna be outside.
Man, you was outside. They do your thing.
And then I was outside.
Your thing. Because they scared me away. I'm like,
you got scared? He was like, let me go.
I'm not hanging around these people. I was like, I'm not drinking around y'all. I was
you like, don't want a dick drawn on your forehead? You don't want
I don't want none of them. I don't want none of that. Nope. No.
You don't want somebody like, are you passed out drunk and they put their dick on your head and outlined it?
Yeah, take a picture or something. Nah, I don't want none of that. Any of them?
He said, I don't want that experience. I don't
can't even play like that.
You feel really, you would have felt more American.
I might have felt more American, but I couldn't go back to my area and my people and that ever come out. You know what I'm saying? That's too much pressure.
You would have had to take
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You would have had to go ahead and marry a white woman. You would have had to go ahead and you would have had to just go ahead, because the black women, you can't never come back and tell a black woman you
can't never come back. Can't never come back.
You gonna have to just go ahead and marry like girl at that point. Yeah.
Greg, how did you convince him?
He gave him a hand job.
Gave him a freebie.
show you my
That-
specialty.
how,
Let me show
how-
you my specialty.
how hard did you commit to the bit, Greg? How hard did you lean in to that joke?
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, now listen. Now, like Yvette Carnell, she is, I guess, one of the founders or the founder of ADOS organization. The difference between the two of them, I can't recall off the top. I watched the video. I had it before the stream. I had it down. But the FBA organization was took some of the ideas, and Dr. Claude Anderson and Tariq Nasheed like took it in a different group, and I can't remember what the central principle difference was. But the American Descendants of Slaves is one thing,
And
FBA
that's
is
so
another.
black. And that's
It
also
is
still very black. It's like the Baptist, like you said, the first
the
African
denominations.
Methodist down the street, round the corner. We was here first, and my sister tried to be like me.
Yep.
Church, like it's.
And she even spoke to that, which was funny because
Yeah.
she was like, because people need to control, so they go off and do this other thing because they need it to be their way. And I'm like, but that speaks to everybody. Like even you, like you have your own. Why couldn't you just go under their banner? Like if everybody didn't need control, nobody would need. We wouldn't need all these different ones. Even the one that's true. And the person that says that also has to have their own. Like I'm the same person. I started on somebody else's channel, but I needed it. I needed to function in ways that felt good for me. I needed to be able to start when I wanted to start, end when I wanted to end, and not rely on anybody else. And sometimes that's a need. Sometimes it's legitimate. Sometimes it's egocentric. You know what I'm saying? Like, so sometimes it's like functional is what I'm saying. So I think it's all ego, but sometimes it's functional and practical reasons that you have to splinter off. Sometimes it's just for your feelings and needs of security, which is different. So like, I think there's some legitimate splintering off, but I don't think they have to all be contentious. I don't think because we differ in maybe some component that has to be contentious, but there is a difference. I can't remember what she explained, but Yvette Carnell, this is her, a little vignette that she talked about defining yourself.
Well, when a white cop stops you, they don't ask what boat you got off. Listen, the dumbest thing you can do in this world is define yourself by your oppressor, or define yourself by a racist, or define yourself by a white cop. I do not care what a white cop sees. If a white cop looks at a Mexican and he's dark enough, he might assume the Mexican is a Negro. He don't know. He might assume that an Indian is a Negro. He might see melanin in the guy. I didn't know what he was. A white cop or a racist cop might assume all sorts of things. That's not how I define myself. So you do not define yourself through the lens of somebody else. That is the dumbest thing in the world you can do. The one thing that you are in charge of is how you define yourself, your self-definition. And that should not come from someone because they have a badge. You define yourself.
And that was specifically in response to Mark Lamont Hill, who
Okay,
did that
I was
whole
gonna
thing
say they
about.
sounded like him. Okay.
Yeah, she did a whole stream where she responded to his because she didn't like his response at all. She did not like it at all.
For the white cop, and this is assumed that every black person gonna have a run-in with a cop, like, or to some degree of like, it's stupid.
Doing wraparounds is crazy. Oh, you're not that nice. I get it.
Well dressed.
Weirdo.
That is hilarious.
Weirdos. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. What I wanted to ask you though, should each person define blackness for themselves? I kind of feel like that's where we are. Or should it be a shared understanding? She's like, define it for yourself. Don't define it through somebody else. But I think that you're still going to have to lean. I think, but it has to be a blend of defining it through other people. Because if you're defining blackness for yourself, you don't need blackness. If you're only defining yourself and who you are, you don't need blackness. It would just be Brie.
I would assume
you don't need blackness for that.
I would assume she may be talking about more in the realm of culturally. You have to figure out what it is for yourself. You have to figure out culturally, like who you are or how you would define yourself culturally. And because race is not something up for debate. Like you're an American, like some of that is just like not really something that's like it's not as fluid as people want it to be. Like it's just not. Race isn't fluid. Ethnicity isn't either. Like nationality isn't. So she's probably more so talking about culture. Like what culture are you from? Like where who are you? What is your experience? Like what culture do you think you identify with? What is that you have? Only you can figure that out. I think. I don't think anybody else can define it for you. I mean, and then like as people have experiences in different locations and in their experiences, you're going to find other people who share those, and then that's what becomes out being able to identify from an outside group. But there would be, I think there will be places in America where maybe there isn't like a lot of Black people together, where you may not be able to identify any specific Black culture for their area. That's why I was thinking, like, I'm sure there probably is a poor or Black population in Toronto or something where people will be like, yeah, that's Toronto hood culture. You know, like there may be. But there are also some places where just not enough Black people to really have like a unique, I guess, Black experience. It's not enough Black people together in the same area to have a unique experience that other people can identify. So I would think she would say culture. I think she's more talking about culture right there.
I'm with that. I want to know, Bree, do you think we as like ethnically like Black Americans, are we more defined by others or ourselves?
Y'all niggas be defined by others. Y'all don't ever want to y'all don't ever want to just be nothing. Like that's
God.
Like part of Black culture, unfortunately, is like lack of self-identity or like of confidence. There's like a lack of confidence. There's a lot of bravado and delulu. So no, I don't think most Black people are defining anything for them fucking selves. Anything across the fucking board. Like, no, that's not really a part of the culture.
Okay.
So maybe it's a call to action she's doing, because it's currently not a part of our culture to define. Yeah. And then when people say stuff like define themselves, like how Black people interpret it is crazy. Like it just be like some shit like, oh, we just gonna make up some shit. We're gonna like completely deny reality in the definition of ourselves, and that's not really how you define things.
Right.
You define, you say this is who I think I am. You go out in the world, you experience the world, and then the world gives you feedback, and you're supposed to take that feedback and be like, does what the feedback say match who I think I am? And then you start to build some idea of the self from that idea. So like this whole thing where people are just being delusional and just like ignoring the feedback from the world is also not a part of how you define yourself. So it's kind of it's a once again another feedback loop.
I get that. That actually makes sense. Because there should be some definition. There should be some definition of yourself from yourself, and there should be, like you said, the reflection of who you are through other people's experience of you, and the balancing of that within yourself. Like, okay, this is how I believe I am, and this is how people perceive me or react to me. What does that actually say in combination? Like, we have to synthesize that. I think a lot of us, again, feel that out as opposed to actually sitting down and like working through that, like through conversation, through writing. Like, we don't actually like most people I know.
Negative feedback.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's a big part of it. Negative feedback is needed for the sense of self.
Yeah.
And I would y'all be watching Inside Out too.
Yeah, I think so. But I think a lot of us also have developed this thing, kind of like we started with that negative self-talk and reframing. I think a lot of people have done the reinvention where they get that negative feedback and have turned it in, and they've reinvented it because it sounds like negative criticism coming back at me. I'm going to reinvent that, and it's going to be a virtue.
I'm a spin.
You know, I'm a spin. Yeah.
I'm triggered because I be watching Love Island, and I got two examples like right in front of my head, and they triggered me so bad when I was watching the show. Like,
it's not that I talk too fast; you just listen slow, or you know what I'm saying. It'd be all kinds of little stuff like that.
Like it was a Black couple actually. It was I think the two triggering moments were both including Black people because we've been having these conversations, and it was a Black girl and it's a Black guy, and they like. He like her, but she kind of being like, she be playing in that man face. She's stringing him along. I don't really know. She be like, he give me the egg or whatever. But now she like kind of like him and stuff like that. And at one point, she, because Love Island is a competition. So if you don't get picked, you go home. So she basically was like, he was the only one into her, and she's still like playing around with his feelings. Like, oh, I'm not sure I like him. Maybe I like him. Maybe I'm not. And then she was like, well, at least if I go home, I was a real ass bitch. And it's like. You're not winning. It was just like you're not winning. So how are we? You saying you like him? Maybe you don't. How is you going home an optimal outcome? How is you going home like what we're gonna choose. We're gonna spend you losing the competition,
Yes.
going
Wasting all that
home
time.
with someone you actually maybe was into it is still in the house. How is any of that a win?
Yeah.
Like that's all like not a win, and you're just like, well, at least
Yeah.
I was a real ass bitch, and it's like that's what I be talking about. Like,
turning losing into a win condition by like an ego deflection. Like it's weird.
I was a real ass bitch. You were a real bitch.
Yeah.
That's why you left.
you weren't a real ass bitch. You were a real bitch.
You a real bitch. That's why you went home.
That's why you're out.
That's actually
You win
negative
nothing.
feedback. Right.
You win nothing.
You win nothing. But you just at home now. And then like the other situation where there's a girl now, she white and she always get picked because she's blonde hair, blue eyes. She always get picked.
Oh God.
But every time the guys they spend 2 hours with her and they be like, I'm off, no connection.
Yep.
There's nothing here. And so she's literally got picked by like 6 dudes at this point, for real. Like, and all of them be like, nope, there's nothing here. She was sitting on the couch and she was like, maybe it's me. Like, it has to be me because everybody's picking me and they're all doing the same thing. They talk to me and then they decide they're not into me. It's more of a friend thing. And then they go tell another woman that they're interested in her. And then the same girl who's like, I was a real ass bitch. She's like, it's not you. They're just not intelligent enough to keep up with somebody like you.
Oh. Yeah.
It was so triggering. I was like, why you tell her that? She was about to have growth. She was about to have a moment of growth. She was going to realize she's doing something. She's like, I'm doing something wrong. I'm into these guys and they're not getting it. No, it's not.
Denied her self-reflection.
They're just not intelligent.
Everybody's stupid but you. Yeah, everybody's dumb but you.
Mind you, these same men go on to pair up with these very women
Other
telling
people.
you it's not you. The same women.
Yep.
They ain't leaving the house. They go talk to your roommates and pair up with them and go on to have a fine connection with them. And that same woman gonna turn around and tell you it's not you. That's so dumb. Anyway, sorry. Side note, but that's
that's what happens. It's like
you literally with one of the dudes who left her, and you go sit there and tell her it's not her.
Yeah, because I hate that. There's an in group there. There's the sister code. There's a sister code in group where y'all protect each other's feelings over allowing y'all to self-improve. And it's so weird. It's so weird to see that. Yeah, and then to be like to tell her that. Right. And then to tell her that when you're with one of the guys she couldn't connect to, which would mean he has the capability to connect. So how are you going to just say he the problem? He connected with you. So, but it allows you to feel good.
I guess it was weird. Yeah. It was the weirdest thing I ever had. Like, no, you're not the problem. It's like, damn, she was about to really become a better person right here.
Yeah, but you get to be the victim. You get to be like the person that, circumstances. It's not you. It's everything else. It's everybody else. So, it's easy to offload responsibility.
Yeah, and it was crazy to see it in such a controlled environment too, where it's not like we're going on a date with these people and you never see them again. Like they stay in the house, like you still stay with them, and you see these people
so you
go
get to
on
see their next behavior.
Yeah, and you see it's totally different than with you. Like that's crazy. If you can't learn in that environment,
then you ain't really got much hope. But you said, even inside that control group, there were people that were sabotaging her growth. So where she could have learned, she had people that she listened to that sabotaged her because she listened.
Yeah.
As long as she stays ignorant, the blonde girl is no longer competition.
She's not competition for the girl who was reassuring her too, which was crazy. The girl who's reassuring her, she's black. They ain't even in the same realm. So it was just weird. It was just like weird thing. It was the black girl telling her that. Don't believe that. I'm like, why are you telling her that? But that's black. That's the culture.
Yeah.
That's the culture. We
never do that. We've experienced that too. Like even in our little groups and conversations, we've had stuff where we're doing something negative or failing at something, and people will kind of coddle our feelings. Like kind of, I want to protect your feelings by saying, well, it's not that. Well, it's not that. Well, it's still like I know I've had that, especially like with streaming. I've had people like, well, everybody goes to negativity. Everybody doesn't. There are a lot of positive channels that have great growth, millions and millions of subscribers. Like, so it's not about just negativity. I know we'll lean on that sometimes to feel better, but it's not true. Like,
Man,
there are
people
people
really
like
be
Star
like really believing
Star
it.
Talk has millions of channels. Then y'all talk about like Timmy's Toys. A guy opens toys, has millions of. There's a lot of positive channels that have millions of subs. So it's not that people all flock to negativity. It's just that sometimes I think the lanes we put ourselves in, negativity is more palatable in those lanes. But there's positive stuff we could do that draws eyeballs. But I don't think we put ourselves in position. And I know me, like in the manosphere, red pill, like, okay, like for me, like self-reflection. I am always adjacent to manosphere red pill stuff. That's a hate group, like in a, you know what I'm saying, in a weird energetic sense. It's a hate group. You go there because you're angry. Well, if I'm not angry, I'm an outsider. That's kind of weird. I'm putting myself in odds, oppositionally, energetically. I'm not going to get a lot of traction.
What do you want?
Yeah. I mean, because when I did that thing about where I lost subscribers, and then where I had the most growth was some of my more male-centric videos. So if I leaned into that, it would probably be better for me. But I don't care to lean directly into that.
Yeah, because like once you decide to market yourself, you're like niche. The marketing is niching down. Like a lot of, I mean, once you find what works, it's really, the intelligent thing to do is to go ahead and niche down. So like, yeah, if you know it's not even something you would want to niche down into, it's better to not even fucking do it in the first place. Because you can you're gonna have to keep doing it.
Okay. Total sidebar, and I'm probably gonna lose somebody here.
He finna do it again.
Yes, I was just in Reddit. Okay, I was just in Reddit today, and somebody had this thing about, you know what? Maybe this is a hot take, but I don't think I care about if people have abortions. If somebody had an abortion every week, it doesn't matter to me. And I was like, and I was thinking, I think after a certain number, kind of like a loyalty card, after a certain number of abortions, you should get aborted. Like there should be a number where you go in for that, like that fifth. Exactly my point. So you go in for that sixth abortion, and instead of the child being sucked out, like your brain gets sucked out. Like that should be a thing. But they don't tell you what the number is. Nobody should tell you what the number is. Nobody should tell you. You just go in there for the sixth one, and you don't come back out. That should be the way it goes.
Probably somewhere around the point where you would get to a grand motive. We call them.
Man.
A grand motive.
What's that?
It's like when you've had like 10 or more babies.
10 or more babies?
Yeah, your grand motive.
Who's having 10 or more babies now?
Some people be having them Africans.
Oh,
Somalis. Somalis, they be them African, them Muslim people be having kids now. They be having kids.
You know,
not the blacks. This is where it becomes important. They be like black people. No, not the garden variety blacks. Them other blacks. Them people of color blacks. They be having all the kids. Them Somalis be having kids, bro. Listen, they be having kids. Woo! I'm telling you. Okay, I'm just saying.
All right, now okay. I sidebar. That was me. That was on me, but I had to get it out. Get murked. Hey, listen. After so many, I'm sorry. After so many, I don't know how many. I don't know how many the average person has.
And that's why I think black people. This is about to be a sidebar because this is why people needed to go to the lunch where the man said he was smashing a nigga in college and his wife was laughing about it. Because some people just got kinks and they don't know it. And if they can find healthy ways to express their kinks, they might not be having some of these problems. Now, I'm gonna just leave it there.
Yeah. Okay.
Because some people just got a kink and they don't know they got a kink. But if they could accept that they had one, they could just like figure out how to get that done without, getting knocked up every fucking time. So I'm just saying, black people need to open up. You got a breeding kink?
Yeah, some of that.
That's cool. You don't actually have to be bred though. Just saying.
Right.
Like maybe you got a breeding kink. Maybe you just need to know that about yourself. So you be like, I'm just gonna be here and I'm just gonna feel like I just want this nigga to nut at me. And maybe I shouldn't let him do it because it's a kink. Maybe I just need to find a good outlet for that. Maybe this isn't. I don't actually want to have kids. Like I just black folks just need it.
Mm-hmm. I'm totally with you. I mean, because they do have stuff like the morning after pill. They do have. I mean, there's other
They
things.
got so many.
So
No,
many
I
things
don't find the term breeding offensive if it's a fucking kink. I mean, if you got a breeding kink, more power to you. I don't find it offensive. I don't find most stuff within, because if you're within kink, that's like somebody has an intent and somebody has given consent. And so if there's intent and consent, yeah, I don't care. Y'all do whatever. Y'all go off, right? So like, no, I wouldn't find it if somebody's like, I'm good. If his girl's into that, now if you just gonna be saying it to random strangers, I'm pepper spray. I'm pepper spray the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
You come to me and say I'm gonna breed you at the Walmart, I'm gonna pepper spray you and call police.
That's sus.
That's definitely sus. You shouldn't go around telling random women you're gonna breed them.
No, that sounds
definitely
bad.
not
Sounds
okay.
terrible.
Sounds really bad.
Sounds terrible.
Sounds terrible. So yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm just saying. Part of the culture.
So sliding back into the conversation, I'm going to play this short a video from Yvette Carnell on being able to make distinctions.
Do you consider this divisive that they have identified themselves based on their lineage and who they are? Is that divisive? Or is that pride in who they are? And it's a distinction. And distinctions are real. Distinctions do not need your approval. It's like gravity. It's like everything else. It's like what Einstein did. It's like the theory of relativity. It does not need your approval. It is what it is. Each group has a different contribution, a different experience, and a different contribution to America, a different kind of oppression, and we are not defined by melanin.
So I liked what she had said there about being able to make a distinction, because this always comes up around like Black History Month. Well, we should have a White History Month then. Why don't we have a white entertainment television? Like that. that ability to be able to make distinction always comes up in February, every single February, and I'm so sick of it. But it's like, for whatever reason, like Black Americans, something about us being able to distinguish offends people, even though we're subjected to everybody else being able to distinguish based on their nationality and heritage. We don't have that, so we say Black, and then that becomes like an object of derision for whatever reason. Like now, woke, DEI, like everything becomes a pejorative to a certain group of people. Conservative, white, like that cadre of people, it becomes a negative. So it's like, we have to be able to distinguish, because it's a normal human behavior. We distinguish everything. Yeah. We separate the grocery aisles. Cookies are distinguished. Like they're distinct. They're they're set up separately.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
but because Black people keep on looking to white people for permission for who we are, because if you're gonna keep on saying Blackness is contrary to whiteness, or Blackness is somehow interlinked with whiteness, then of course the white people get to say something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, of course the white people get to say something. If we gonna keep on acting like Blackness is dependent on whiteness, then they should be able to say something. Yeah, that's just how I feel. They're just picking up the energy that we put down.
Okay.
So I feel like that's why they're always gonna have something to say about it, until you just be like, I don't really give a fuck what you got to say about it. This wasn't a conversation that ever included you. I mean, maybe historically, but
going back to that, defining yourself for yourself.
Yeah, like, bitch, I didn't ask you. Like, my Blackness is not a response to your whiteness. And then, like, until we can like stop making Blackness a response to whiteness, then it's gonna be that way.
So then let me ask you a follow-up question. Because we once had a conversation, and it might have been Yella or you. I don't know which one of y'all spawned this conversation, but y'all brought up, where does like the energy? It must have been you, because the language in my head, it must have been you. Where does the energy come from? Where, how the thing originated, or how it's currently being used. So like that's where the Black thing came. Like, but how Black originated, it is juxtaposition to whiteness.
Right.
So they're inextricably linked. But like you're saying, this is a me conversation. Well, my Blackness is for me and me alone. Right. You're not. So where do we draw the energy from? How you're taking it, or how it was originally intended, and how do we differentiate?
Well, like for me, it doesn't feel like I like acknowledging where you come from. Like I'm here because of first of all, I'm here because some Africans and some white folks. So that's why y'all not finna give me the motherland. Fuck her. So I'm here. I know why I'm here. I know why my ancestors are here. I know the history of them. So yes, my blackness is always interlinked to whiteness to some degree. But like after a certain point, maybe not for my ancestors, but for me, like I think my black experience was mostly free. Like in my neighborhood growing up, it's hard for me, maybe because I'm from Georgia too, but it's really hard for me. I think it's just part of my culture that a lot of my upbringing is so separated from whiteness that I just don't understand. Like after having a conversation a little bit, I think that's why my blackness feels like it's not really dependent on whiteness because of how segregated I was telling you like Georgia is.
Yeah.
Like you can have, like I have a friend who really don't fuck with white people. Like until she was adult, she never talked to a fucking white person.
Mm-hmm.
Like for real. So like, I feel like if you can have that separated of an existence, like,
yeah,
maybe that's why you can feel like blackness is separated from whiteness, but maybe someone from somewhere like Seattle couldn't have that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Possibly. Like, yeah, she never talked to a white person until she like became an adult.
Because if you don't study or accept the history of it and you don't live it like in that diametrically opposed way, then your blackness will mean something totally different to you. So I can get that.
It's almost like how those people who come from like I think Candy was talking about that, like coming from somewhere where everybody looked like you. It gives you a different kind of pride in your culture and yourself. And I do think even though it's in America, like somewhere like Atlanta, like you can kind of have that experience almost.
Yes. I can see that.
Maybe I'm just an outlier in that way.
Nah, and that makes sense. Like your environment does shape a lot. Like you said, the formative years, your environment does shape a lot of who you become to be. So your values, your opinions, how you've perceived the world around you accepting you, like that's a real thing. So I can see in certain places where there were fewer black people, you would feel more other. Like you would feel more othered.
Right.
So I could easily see you interpreting a different narrative of your existence in a place where there were more of you versus if there are less of you. So now that makes
because like none of my blackness was. I mean, when I was like up until like 8th grade, I left my neighborhood to go to a predominantly white school. And I was like, fuck this shit. I don't really like this. I wasn't really into it. Like I did adopt. That's where the whole Oreo thing came from because I had spent some time over on the other side of town. I had to go to the north side of town. So like I did have the experience, but like, so then after that, my middle school and high school, like, so when I became into puberty and stuff like that, and like became a sexual being, I was back around black people. So I just feel like most of I just like white people who looking for them. Nobody gives a fuck about them. You know? So it's just kind of like weird when some people's blackness is so white centric. That's what that guy sound like to me.
Speaking of whiteness, Nova's making a call. So we're going to pause the stream here, everybody, and we are going to wait for Nova Rain to get off of his phone call. It's probably very important. And as a white man, he has the privilege of having the world stop.
Yeah, we have to wait.
Yeah,
the world stops.
Absolutely.
Our blackness also, we don't know how to be black.
Yes.
We have to know what blackness is like. So that's when I hear them people talk about that, like, oh, some white people really made the culture. I just kind of be like, that must be them people who grew up around mostly white people or something. He said, I just put myself in. I mean, you out here giving hand jobs.
I mean, that's.
Give yourself one.
I can't stand job. I love it.
Give yourself a hand job. But no, for real. Like, I think some of those people who say that, I don't know if Nova is Asian. I don't know. We really will never know. But yeah, I can see why some of those, like that guy who was talking, he definitely sounded like maybe he didn't grow up in a black area or something. Or maybe he did. I don't know. He talking about the police, but I don't know.
Yeah. He probably grew up in a city like mine where there's a substantial black population, but it's still like a
not
super
incubated.
minority. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So he probably grew up in an area like mine. His attitudes were similar to how I grew up. Like everything I hear, it was my
Yeah.
blackness was filtered through whiteness. Like my
Also, that's
understanding of blackness.
people.
First of all, I ain't gotta say it was my people.
I'm
Don't
just
say it was my people.
when I hear him talk, I don't hear me. So that must that's you. That's your black.
That ain't me. It's something
It's
like
your
me.
black people.
I'm saying something similar. Okay, different, but
You know, so
similar.
it's something about him. You don't really seem like I got to have some of them Sukihana them. Why you can't have him?
Okay, I'll take that. If you taking Sukihana, I'll definitely take Mark
like,
Lamont Hill.
I gotta have Boosie them. Like I'm Southern black. I gotta have them people. I got Sexy Red down here. Like
if you're taking them, if you're taking Memphis and if you're taking all them, cool. I'll take Mark Lamont. Yeah.
I can say even though there are nuances in Southern black culture, I still generally see a through line in Southern black culture that is generally there. It's a little bit different depending on the hood, but there is a through line. So I gotta take all them. You could take Lamont.
No, for sure. You're right. You convinced me. You ain't got to say another word. I'll take Mark Lamont. I'll take Eric Dyson. I'll take Cornell West.
Is Eric Dyson up there with y'all?
It's just that attitude. It's just that attitude of education is the salvation. I think they're all from that.
That's a Yankee thing. That's definitely Yankee.
Yeah. That's us.
Yeah.
That's the North. Mm-hmm.
He said the North South. Yeah, because we more spicy down here. We flavored. We're very seasoned. We're the seasoned we the seasoned black culture.
Another sidebar. Black culture allegedly here. Did you see that Kev on stage clip where the lady seasoned her charcoal?
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna season everything. That's
like how far into that would you lead into as far as seasoning everything? How far is too far with the season and everything?
That's like, because I feel like the season gonna burn before it really do anything, and then it's gonna be like burnt seasoning smell. But you
just maybe aroma. Yeah,
you could do wood chips and stuff. Like, why you doing that? Like, you could just soak some wood chips and like some Henny or something, or some Jack, some peach Henny.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be cute. Like, soak some wood in a little bit, then use that. Let it that'll be cute.
That'd be interesting.
But actual seasoning on it is just gonna burn. Have you ever spilled seasoning on the fucking gas stove? Like, that shit be stinking.
Yeah, that was weird. The onions, I could kind of see like maybe getting that aroma.
Maybe the onions might work a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like you could get the same thing with just putting onions in there.
Putting it on the grill.
Yeah, and closing it, right?
You can just put those on the grill.
Yeah. Probably. Or get a rack underneath it if you can get like one of them and just have them in there. It just feels weird to put them in a charcoal because that's strange. That was a weird idea.
It was. Yeah. It was a lot. That's doing too much, but which is also us.
That's us. I don't know where she's from. I'm gonna say she's from Ohio. Even the new kids, you know, the new age kids decided Ohio means loser or something like that.
Wow.
You ain't never heard it? They call it, what they be saying, Skibbity Ohio or something.
What does that mean? I've never heard that.
Ohio is like a loser. I do know Ohio is like a loser.
Wow. Okay. You know what?
That's Gen Alpha. Now that's them new kids. That's them new kids.
I'll take it.
I thought you should know that Ohio is.
It's all right.
It's a slang term for bad.
Ohio
negative.
Versus everybody. Ohio versus everybody.
So yeah, let me see where Michael Eric Dyson from. He might be, because you know Georgia has that boule culture though.
Yeah, he feels like an East Coast or far West Coast liberal elite. He feels like far north, like East Maine, like Boston, or like Boston? Cali. Like I'm just saying, he's far east or far west. He's not central. He's like far east.
He's from
far
fucking
west,
Michigan. I knew it.
What?
He felt like he was up there with y'all Negroes.
Where did he go to school? Because he really feels like a East Coast liberal or far West Coast liberal. Yeah.
Princeton.
Where's that? Where's Princeton?
New Jersey.
Okay, East Coast. Okay. He just felt like an East Coast. Yeah, product.
He up there. It wasn't giving Martin Luther.
Nah, not Martin Luther.
It was given, yeah. The Ohio meme is from the. Well, I'm
Like,
just
as far
saying
as
what the
feel,
I'm saying.
as far as feel, Reverend William Barber, he feels more like middle. I'm a find
William Barber.
yeah, Reverend
Let me
William
see.
Barber. He feels more middle-ish, Midwestern. He could be like Ohio, Pennsylvania.
Why they all got that Jerry curl though?
Oh no, I don't
Is
know.
that like part of the package? He
I don't
probably
know.
from up there with Micah. They got the same Jerry curl though. He might be from
Oh
up
my
there with
God.
him. Let me see where he from.
Where he
Now
from?
see, Indiana. See, okay.
See,
I
yeah,
know
see,
what
I
y'all
know it.
niggas look like
There's a
now.
feeling. There's
I
a
know
feeling.
what
There's
y'all
a
niggas look
feeling.
like.
Okay,
I didn't know.
that's not
y'all. Now I'm starting to see y'all culture. That's y'all.
Mm-hmm. That's us.
Y'all
Okay,
be having them little wet curls.
I ain't gonna lie. I do. There's a dude that lives across the street from my sister who's got a curl, Jerry curl still. It's I didn't understand it,
I did not
but
know that was
it's a
y'all
Midwestern.
northern light skins. That's y'all. Okay. Now I know it when I see it. I'm really, this is fascinating to me. You know your people when you
Yeah.
see it. Like he
Culture.
look, yeah, he don't look like Southern pastor. You know what I
Nah.
mean? He ain't
Yeah.
got that Southern pastor. Like yeah, I mean that's probably where it came from, but this is Gen Alpha, and you know, they
Yeah,
also
and
use
they've
Sigma.
translated it. It's the
Yeah, like Sigma.
Sigma. I hate that
Like
Sigma
from
stuff.
the
Instead
Alpha
of
Sigma
beta,
stuff.
and they like Sigma.
No,
Yeah.
but Sigma means something else for them. It doesn't. It's not even related to the Manosphere conversations now. It means something else for them. I can't remember what Sigma is. But I hear my kids on Roblox saying this stuff all the time. They're like, "You're so Sigma." I'm like, "What the fuck that mean?"
Dang.
Yeah. So they have their own. They're
Jerry
hearing.
culture.
It's funny to hear them hear what adults are talking about and then like
And
make their own
translate it.
slang from it.
Make
Yeah,
it,
it's crazy.
But that's how it goes. That's exactly how it goes.
Which is crazy.
Man.
So what is the culture gonna look like in a bit? Because they're getting a lot of their culture from the internet now. It's not even like neighborhood specific. They're not going
regional.
outside.
It's no longer regional.
They're not going. Yeah, they're not going outside. So in a little bit, this culture we're talking about is not even going to exist anymore. Not because
it's going
of
to be an American culture.
Yeah, not because of other races coming in and pretending to be us. It's because our kids are going to be like, I don't know the people outside.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be any geographical kind of culture. This is going to be one big
internet is a melting pot.
TikTok culture.
The internet is what America was supposed to be. The melting
That's
pot.
Going to be great.
That it could be. It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
And see,
and accents are changing. Recently,
accents are changing. Ohio is the most eastern western state and the most western eastern state.
So it's in the middle. What are y'all saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's called middle. We call it middle.
Yeah, it should just be.
But
the big.
I had mentioned how a lot of people think AAVE is Gen Z language, and that's an example of what Nova is talking about. Like a lot of Black cultural slang is becoming like normalized on TikTok, and so you hear white people using like Black slang. So now people aren't even knowing that it's Black slang. Yeah, because they're so incubated from the culture that they don't even know they're speaking AAVE. Because, like, once again, you're from the South, it's very segregated. So they don't typically, and we code switch when we leave, our neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So, like, they typically never heard a lot of these terms. And so they didn't even know that this was like Black culture.
Yeah. And even still, like, some of it's just popular or cool. Like you said, I think is what you're saying. But it used to make me uncomfortable when I saw it go mainstream. And I would see like sportscasters start to use some of this language out of context or in the wrong context because they heard it and it sounded cool. Like the first time I was watching like Sports Center and somebody like did something like I don't even remember which sport. And the guy was like, "Oh, ski," and I was like, "No, that's not how you use that."
Hold on,
but I can't even remember which sport. I can't even remember which sport it was in reference to. But it was like that's what I'm saying. I can't remember which sport.
Statement for him.
Yeah, maybe? He was it was something more exclamatory. But like somebody like because I would say in Midwest
like champagne
Ohio,
bottle maybe.
No, because like in Midwest Ohio, sometimes like skeet was like a quick movement. You know what I'm saying? So it might have been like yes, like that. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, he might have been thinking it was that, and I was like, no,
That's ski. Come on.
Yeah.
But then I was listening to the radio the other day, and this is an Atlanta radio station. It's very popular. And they were talking about how like they have a black guy on the show, like he's one of the hosts, and he was saying that what we call black people call the gooch, they call the taint.
Yes, gooch and taint.
And like the white host, because this is Georgia, he's like, I've never heard gooch. Like he never heard of it before ever. And he was like, what do you call it?
The internet.
Yeah, and he was like, what do you call it? He's like, we call it a taint. And all the white people are like, yeah, we call it a taint. He's like, so y'all don't say gooch? And it was just like crazy to hear that they had never crossed reference, because that's just how segregated it is here.
People saying full scene now is hilarious to me because I've never heard a redneck term crossover. Okay.
It's like the whole yacht thing.
Well,
I still haven't heard full scene.
I haven't heard full scene. What does that mean?
It's crazy to me.
What was the last one you said? Yacht and what?
He said full sin. I've never heard full sin.
I haven't heard full sin, so I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, you use both, but stuff like yacht meaning that, and just the way we say stuff. Like I'm hearing a lot of like Southern Black culture being used just by like gays, white gays, or like Gen Zs. But I'm here for it. I like it. The less I have to code switch, the better. Yeah.
Me. The more normal everybody becomes, like the less out group there is. You know what I'm saying? Over
you
little
can't have
stuff.
both. You can't say you want to eradicate racism, but then like not want cultures to mix.
Yeah.
So you can't have one without the other for real. Because that's just human nature. So I just feel like, if I could just be black around people and they don't feel some type of way about it, then.
Now I've heard chode before.
I've never heard of it.
But full sin is like a chode. That's interesting. That doesn't even sound like.
And then like I feel like I could. That's gonna be racist. I'm not gonna say
that. Yeah. This is the stream for it. As long as you don't do the Nigerian accent, I think you're good.
I was just gonna say, like, I could see why we probably don't have a use for that term in our slang.
Doesn't seem useful. But
because it's a penis that's wider than it is long, I just feel like, wow, that's really sad. Look, Midnight's like, that seems weird.
Oh, okay. So punch it. Okay, so full send or send it comes from mudding or cars. It means punch it. Basically.
No, the other one, chode or the tank.
Yeah, the chode. Yeah, I know you're talking about chode, but I was like, full send. When he brought in the chode, I have no idea why he brought chode into it.
I think because I was talking about taint and gooch.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
That seems weird. How was that? I don't want to know.
Yeah, but chode, that's a
I was
weird
like,
thing.
is that possible? I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to Google that later.
Wider than it is long.
That's what I was like. That's not. They don't mean literally. They don't mean literally.
It could mean literally. Yeah.
That is strange. Yeah, they're basically, that's what some people say, they're appropriating a lot of the Southern Black auntie culture. I don't think they're appropriating it. I think
some people call
that's
it
probably that might be I'm not gonna Google image chode. I don't want that. I don't want this. But it's probably the black the auntie.
I just imagine a mushroom. Don't they call
it a micro penis? I mean, don't we have terms for small little penis? Isn't that a micro penis?
I just imagine the Mario mushroom.
That's a micro penis. I'm sorry. That's why I was just like, that's why Black culture just probably wouldn't have a term for that. I just feel like I'm confused. I'm in pain. I don't understand.
I'm in pain.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned if this is a naturally occurring phenomenon. I hope it's a phenomenon. I hope this isn't a normally occurring thing. I'm very concerned. Now I have to know.
There has to. Yeah, that's
sad. It's sad. That's what it is.
like.
It's
Could you
sad.
imagine a tuna can penis? You know what I'm saying? It's just very wide, but not very like a tuna can penis. Like, what would you do with
Just
that?
there being little,
What would you do with a tuna can?
just being small. I think they called it a micro penis. So
I wonder how wide that would be, though. How wide?
yeah, that's a micro penis.
Okay.
Okay, he's talking about a micro
Okay.
penis. I've never been
Okay.
lucky
Because I
enough
started
to
thinking
run
like
across one of
grotesquely
those.
wide. That's what I started thinking. I
It's
started
still
imagining
grotesque. I
grotesquely
would think
wide.
it's
Like a
grotesque. I feel like it should fall in the realm of grotesque.
okay.
I
I'm
feel like
with
it's offensive.
I'll roll with. I can't
It's
stand.
offensive.
I
Like
can't stand black people.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be very black right now. Just go full
That was
in
black.
roast. But I
That
just
was
like
black.
I can't imagine
That was
being with a
black.
nigga and still having a scissor. Like that's crazy as fuck. to me.
Oh god.
I'm sorry.
Oh god.
My brain just went so left.
Hey.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
That just feels like a lose to me. I just don't be with a woman. I'm just saying. But yeah, I just sorry. Choose the thoughts won. They just won. I'm sorry.
They would. It's all
Carry
good.
on.
It's all good.
Sorry, carry on. Because I can't. I'm just laughing. That's so sad. It's so sad.
Brie, you nuts. Y'all will not.
So sad.
Y'all
Oh
will
my
not.
god. Oh,
Y'all
Jesus.
will not.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Y'all will not. It's enough. All right. So back to the topic at hand. Vic Carnell.
Says Africans don't see us as Africans and Caribbeans don't see us as Caribbeans, and they're right. We are American. Now, we have to distinguish ourselves from other Americans because we made a particular contribution. We have a particular culture and attributes that apply only to us. So I absolutely agree that we have to define ourselves. But they define just the same way everybody defines themselves. Nobody rushes into a room and says, why would you say that?
Oh, we had already talked about that. That's facts,
facts.
Yeah. We had already kind of talked about the group identification. Go ahead.
Black people, I feel like I can't say now because I know I'm an outlier now. So I'm just like, I feel like the black people I know, they proud of their culture, even if it's ghetto, you know? And there is a distinction. But then there's like also this weird relation. That's why it's like weird to me when people keep shaming it. Because I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do y'all want us to be?
I think a lot of us just do not have. I'm not even. I think I've heard so many people either emotionally speaking about black culture, like out of anger or hurt, so they deny that there's a black I'm a counter couch some of that as just emotionality, so they're being like hyperbolic. But I think the rest of us just don't have like an idea, a good grasp of what black culture is, because either we're denying it to be a part of like society, like we're in a super minority area, or we just don't, or it's like it just is what it is, so you don't think about it. Like being in the water, like a fish doesn't know what I'm saying. Like it's just where you are, so you don't think about it. It's just this is what we do. My family does this, my friends do this, my neighbors do this. It's not even something you cognitively sit and think about, because it's just so much a part of who you are that you don't think. And I think kind of most people fall between those two camps. Like we don't even think about this is who we are, so we don't like sit there.
A lot
like,
of people don't even explore. A lot of people don't explore.
True.
Like leave their areas and like go see other cultures or anything like that too. So they don't even be knowing that they have such a culture. And that's more the truth too, because I think I was like that until I moved. And then like once I moved and I came back, I feel like I had like much more like I wouldn't say I had negative feelings about before I left, but I had more pride in it when I came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I at least got that sense of like when I moved to Minnesota, and it was like it was a different composition, and there were like Hmong people, HMONG. Like it was like I got to see different black people. I got to see a different composition of black to white and how they related, and I got to see like a different ethnic group inside the center city, like they were kind of Asiatic or Asian. I don't even know exactly
Mhm.
where the Hmong people are from, but it was like I got to see enough to realize that how I wasn't the only way to be. You know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't the
Mhm.
only way to exist. Because when I grew up, it was like black and white. That was it. All the blacks
Yeah.
were kind of the same. All the whites were kind of the same. And had a limited scope of even exposure to white people and black people. It was like this poor black people and working class. I didn't meet any like wealthy or black people that had money. So it was like all my black experience was kind of similar, like poor and then working poor, and then maybe I would see middle class once every couple of years, like some family
Right.
member that had got to middle class, but that was it until I like got around 18. Oh wow, Hmong people are Chinese slum dogs. Jesus. Okay, Hmong people are Chinese
Hmong
separatists,
people.
religious Chinese that left Southwest China. Okay, cool. I like that.
And that's
All right.
crazy because I've never seen I mean, working in the labor and delivery, I started to learn a lot of different, sub categories of
A lot
people,
of
and like I was
ethnicities.
just like, yeah, I never ran across them
Yeah,
even still. So they must be like in a
Hmong in
certain
America
area.
are
Yeah,
Vietnamese.
I wonder where most of them like where they hang out.
Settle that.
Because like for me, it was
Yeah.
mostly like Somalis, like especially
Mm-hmm.
down here. It's like that's like 90% for us. They're either Somali or Ethiopian. Like Ethiopian people, but they call themselves something
Okay.
else. The in-group name for themselves is something different than what we call them.
Something
I
different.
can't remember the name.
Right.
Yeah, because
That
I
makes
worked
perfect
with a
sense.
lot of them. Yeah.
Okay.
What is this?
We need to repatriate. To where?
What that mean? What that mean?
Well, to patriate is like to belong to a country. So to repatriate, repatriation is like to reintegrate into a country, if I'm not mistaken. But it's like typically it's different. Like they talk about that with money. Like when you're sending money to another country, they typically call that repatriation, if I'm not mistaken. So where are you talking about? Abisha.
They said her. Is that a place?
I don't know. Don't be
Guess
calling
I
me
don't
no
need to go
Habisha.
there.
No, let me quit.
I'm about to say at least I don't need to go there then, cause maybe talking about the Ethiopian people around
to
me
the
that call
motherland.
themselves. Oh, okay, he's talking about when I
So
said I don't know what they
Rastafari
call
pillar
themselves.
end game for them is to go back. Got you. Grandma thinks Viet Cong turns his AC up.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Ah,
Yeah, that's why I was like, it must be
Ethiopians.
in relation to what I said. I didn't know. Yeah, they what they was calling
Got you.
themselves, but that's not what we call exactly. Okay.
Okay. The endonym and the exonym. The in group name and the out group name. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I always wonder. I still don't. I don't know what the Africans like. What they call the continent, and I don't think most of them referred to it continentally. They probably called it something nationally, but like we don't even know. I don't even know the names for the countries, how they call them. Because like I remember one. What was it Botswana? There was a whole different way they said it, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
But you start getting, you get that like that Eurocentric or the anglicized verbiage of everything in America, and not realize that other people don't use those terms.
Yeah, it's interesting that we don't just call countries what the people in the countries call them.
They're proper titles. Like that's there. We're actually saying I'm not going to give you the respect of calling you by your name, which is
Germany.
Kind of,
yeah, when they say Germany versus Deutschland, it's like we could just say that.
Yeah.
We can just say Deutschland. Like, why wouldn't we just say that? We just gonna be like Germany.
I'm gonna call you. Nah, I'm gonna call you. Your name's Kunta Kinte. Nah, I'm gonna call you.
I don't know. That's just kind of That's just kind of now that you mention it.
Yeah.
Like, that is weird.
Yeah, it's disrespectful.
We should just call it what the people call it inside of the country. Okay. But we America everywhere. I guess it's a power thing.
Probably is. It's just assert your dominance. I'm gonna
Yeah,
call you what I feel like calling. And I'm gonna make other people call you this thing.
It's Hindustan. Are you really? Is that a joke?
I believe because they're the Hindu people. They're the Hindu.
I know, but I feel like that's crazy because it like makes a lot of sense if that's real. But like, there's no way we would ever say that.
German is a cartoon language, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, but it's like they're everywhere. All the countries
I think it sounds too middle. It just sounds too middle. It sounded too Middle Eastern. They probably like this too Middle Eastern.
Got you.
Hindustan. Because if you were like, "Where's Hindustan?" in like a trivia game show, I'd be like,
man, I'd be lost.
I definitely would have failed that question. Pakistan, Hindustan got to be over there somewhere. Yeah, like I definitely would get that question wrong.
But I think Afghanistan is right by India, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
I just, in my head, I want them to be really, really far apart, and I just feel like they're not.
Stan means land.
German that's like, humans are so basic. They be like, this is Hindu land. Like, we should just be like, this is Christian land, like Protestant land.
And they're like, probably, I bet you there's something like that. They just don't call it Protestant or
Protestant
Christian
land.
There's probably something like
this
that.
This is Protestant land. We could be Protestant land instead of America right now.
I mean,
it's crazy. Be awkward because we're not mostly no more. Yeah. That's interesting. I did not know that. That's literally what it is. Hindu land. It sounds like a theme park. Like I want to go to Hindu land. Yeah. I want to go to Hindu land now. Sounds fun when you say it that way.
It does when you say it like that, because we're cultured that putting land on the end of something makes it it's a theme park. Disneyland, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
What is now? I want to go. I'm gonna go look up what everything is. What's the real names?
The real names of all the countries. That'd be dope.
So I could be like try to pretend to be cultured.
And like the other thing that got me as far as speaking of names, the fact that most of our states are named for people that got wiped out. Like they're named like Kansas is like Kansas, and Arkansas is Arkansas. Americans. Like these are Native American languages. Ohio or whatever. Like we have these like bastardized versions of Native American languages of people that got wiped out by the country. It's so weird. And in the military,
it's a flex.
It's power, like you said, power.
Yeah, it's a flex for sure. Mm-hmm. Damn, that's like really a flex. We're gonna like, we're just gonna name this swath of land where we murdered all the people. That's great.
After them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but they kind of did that.
And then we're going to name our airplanes. We're going to name our helicopters and stuff. Apache, Tomahawk. We're going to like bastardize their language and name our weapons that we,
That's nasty work. That's nasty work.
It is. It is.
That's some voodoo. That's the white man some white people voodoo. For real. Witches.
Let me play this next clip. We'll be out of here probably within the next 20 minutes.
And then we said that we are a specific group because you have to carve out that group and to say who is deserving representation. Well, the people who go back to slavery, built the country, Jim Crow, then Reconstruction. That's who we are. And everybody keeps saying no. They can have 3,000 ethnicities, which to me don't make no sense. And you want to talk to me about having some type of collectivism with Africa, and they can't get themselves together. We are in a whole different continent, ma'am, sir. We are all the way over here in the West. We have a whole different experience in a majority white country. We have a whole different thing going on, and y'all want to talk to me. People still want to make this argument that we gotta combine around Africa. Who told you that? I'm supposed to allow a racist cop to somehow anchor my identity. He's supposed to be in charge. Well, the cop, when I tell you what to see when the cop look at you, I don't care what the cop see when the cop look at me.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I like that. She was talking about in Africa, they have over 3,000 different ethnicities. And we're struggling to identify one.
Right. She's so black when she was talking. That's why I said, just because somebody light skinned don't mean we be like they ain't black. No, he's somebody so because you like I would not listen to that lady and be like she not black. Mm-hmm. She is going in. That's what I said. See, that's a black woman right there.
Yeah, there's probably different stuff. There's probably different things for different because there were different tribes and different groups. Probably not all of them. Probably some do, but man, it depends on like reservation, casino, all that. I don't know, but I'm guessing that they have different versions of like packs or whatever they call them. Chico, man. Africa has 1.2 to 1.3 billion people. Most spoken languages. That was a lot. I don't even know.
What the?
Arabic, English, and French. So usually Africa is just Africa. Yeah, I don't know. But
they not like us, so we figured it out.
Facts.
Y'all know I was in this.
Nobody experienced.
You said using Discord what?
Fuck the motherland.
Yeah, you gonna quit disrespecting the motherland? Don't talk about.
She ain't my mama. She ain't my mama. That's your mama.
I mean, she somebody's mama.
She ain't mine.
Well, she might be your grandmama's mama.
She ain't hers either.
You don't know that.
I know that.
Your grandmama's mama.
They was Native Americans. I know that more
on
than
both
that.
sides.
On my mama's side and my dad,
That ain't my MFing mama.
my damn mama. My maiden last name was literally Freeman. That's all I got to know. Like my daddy's side. That's actually what?
That's actually what America did to your people. So your original last name was Afriman. It was related to Africa.
Free. No, my
dropped the
last
off.
name was Slave. And then when they got free, they was just Freemans. Okay, because they didn't want to take their slave master last name. They were just Freemans. Okay, that's literally I know where my people from. That's easy. Shit. They some Freemans.
That's crazy.
They were some free slaves. There we go. So I'm just saying.
Okay. So Nova did the research. Native Americans do pay income taxes, but most things that happen on the reservations aren't taxed. But many reservations are very rich and own non-land grant properties on which they must pay taxes.
I don't want to go to Africa. Take me to American Deli and give me some lemon pepper wings with freeze cut. That's all I need. Why are we going to Africa? I don't even like African food. Right. Somebody, I don't doubt nobody last name Freeman. Okay.
Dang.
Go meet my grandmama. My grandmama named Ruby Jewel. That's like
that's
we Southern.
Yeah.
AL. She say blight. Like we is black. Dang. I don't need to go to Africa.
Sound like she bleeds grits.
She bleeds grits.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
We go to Alabama. We can go see my great grandmama, her little slave shack. Or the great. They all stayed on the land. Like they just stayed.
They just stayed.
Like y'all free. Dang. They just stayed in the cut.
Nah, okay. We're free.
We free. We just gonna stay here.
What's for dinner?
That's right. That's my ancestors. What I'm going to Africa for? Right. I'm just saying. So maybe that also may be a transplant thing. Maybe y'all northern people just feel like we just never really was connected with our roots, kind of thing. Yeah. I feel connected with my roots down
here.
Yeah. Maybe y'all should come to the south. And y'all need to go.
I think that's the Lamont Hill thing. Like you said, the northern thing. I think because we're divorced from Southern culture, because like y'all stayed. Like I think the South is New Africa. Like we're like how you guys were like refused, like Africa ain't my mama. Like because the Great Migration, like the South is like our Africa. It's like, well, we don't know y'all. Like we're separated from y'all. And it's like we don't like y'all are steeped in the culture and heritage of the South. We're divorced from that. So we don't have Southern culture where our people were originally imported to. And we don't have African culture either. So
that's why y'all
we got it. Yeah, so we're trying to identify it with something. So we gotta kind of make something up. And it ends up getting...
Even Drake knew where to go.
Yeah.
Drake said all I got to do is go to Atlanta. Drake didn't go to Africa.
No, he did.
Okay. Where people go when they want to act like us. That's where y'all need to go. You gotta go to Africa. I'm sorry. I don't dream.
But don't you notice that Africa and Atlanta both start and end in A? Like there's something there. I'm trying to tell you, Bree. There's something there.
Where's Africa?
Africa's a continent.
What airport we going to? What airport we going to?
Babarundi International. All right. We still going. We stay going. We don't stop. Don't stop. Can't stop. Won't stop.
Can't stop. I got another stream today.
She sure do. So we about to wrap up in a second. I got like 2 30-second clips. And we're done.
Cool. Yeah, we good.
Things different on the coast of the Midwest. I don't know a lot of Midwestern Black people who talk about Africa. Well, my brother, let me introduce you to the Kemetic sciences. You are around in the presence of Nubians, kings and queens, gods of the earth. We invented mathematics, algebra, language, the Phoenician alphabet. We are the original Asiatic black man and woman. Let me quit. I'm done. I'm done. All right.
Nobody experiences the same blackness. That's not something that happens. Nobody has the same experience who comes here as an immigrant as ADOS, because you wanted to come here and you had the resources to come here. When we read even about Indian Americans who came here, there is selective migration on both ends. They are selected in America for a very specific reason, and they are able to leave India for a very specific reason. That is the case with all immigrants. So anybody who says I started from the bottom just like you, I don't care where they come from, they are lying.
They are lying.
Lying.
So, Bree, how do you feel about, like, again, immigrants? You know, we kind of get a bad rap when people come over immigration, like as far as Black Americans, lazy. You know, we're uneducated. You know, like poor quality parenting. We get all that good stuff, and there's a lot of truth to it. But there's also the stereotype that, because it doesn't take into effect the heritage, the history, the obstacles that we faced here in the United States. And I'm not saying it needs to, but it could and probably should. I'm not saying it needs to. It's not necessary for them to live their lives. Whether they extend grace to Black Americans is, you know, won't really impact them greatly. But I think it's useful to, I guess, contextualize a group of people. But as far as immigrants, where they left and the selection process to be here, there had to be something useful, productive. Like they had to have some value, because they don't just take anybody and everybody. So it's not like as far as us here, you get the full spectrum of Blackness. You get like the best of us and the worst of us. But the worst of people from other countries, except for, you know, the rapists and murderers that come across the border.
Yeah, or like if it's just like a whole bunch of people like literally fleeing like a disaster, and they just like come in, and it's like okay, then it's a little less of a screening process maybe. But
But even
if
still,
it's not
like,
that kind of situation, then it's usually not that.
It's the screening criteria is solid. You know, they don't just let anybody over here, and you got to have the means. And not everybody even wants to leave their country, even when it's war torn. Some people still stay. So it's like, I think people don't have the people that do come here and have an unfavorable opinion of Black Americans, one, don't even really accept fully the difference between immigration versus people who are already present, like the difference in experience, like what you had to have to come over here versus what you kind of are set behind when you start here. Like the history of like redlining and like I say, the cultural, psychological impacts. So there's a lot of difference. But as far as immigration, how do you see our relationship to immigrants?
I don't have no relationship with immigrants. I don't know.
I
don't be worried about them people. I'm Black. I don't care about them folks. I don't be seeing them folks. They be having them gas station corner stores. I don't know nothing about them people. Or they strike, or they stuff. I wish they'll start acting like they know about me. That's all I want. I don't know about them. I don't know what them people got to do to get over here, because I've been over here. I don't know nothing about their process. I don't know nothing about. I'm sure it struggles with it. I'm sure I'm sure there's stuff, but like they can't. Cause I'm like, this whole idea of they can't replace. Like, we're gonna be replaced. We can't be replaced by them. It's just that it's annoying when people think that we are them. That's what I'm saying. Even though that Brit lady was lying, like, to me, that's like the best example of like my irritation sometimes when you had them. Like, when I saw the video, like when I saw it, I was just like, do people just really be, who's watching this? Because it was less about if some white folks had watched it and was like, oh, Black men be busting women upside the head with bricks. But it was the fact that it was Black people watching that shit. I'm like, how you Black from America and you seen nothing in that video was giving Black American for me. There just was nothing in that video. Like, soon as I said, these some Africans.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just Southern, but like when I started with some Africans, they're not like us. So I was on my kindred shit. That ain't us. Like, y'all can say what y'all want. I mean, it was just like hearing black people like take on the rhetoric that black men are just so violent that they busting women upside the head with bricks was crazy as fuck to me. Cause like I grew up around some people who were violent. I just ain't never seen no shit like that. Like
Yeah, that was wild.
That would be weird even for the hood. That would be weird even for a group of men that people deem very violent, just inherently. Like I'm just like, I just ain't never seen no shit like that. Like I just
because if there's an area where that does happen, people don't go there. Like women don't go there by themselves. Like that's just not normal. All the places, like when we had a Uzi Alley, women didn't just go there to hang out by themselves. It's just
and there's still a code. Like there's still a code. Like there's just some shit you just don't do. Like I know the people on the outside, they just look at it like, oh, it's the ghetto or it's the hood, and they're just violent and they just go around shooting. But it's like, no, there's still a code, and it's just some stuff. I'm just like, you ain't never gonna know. Yeah. And then just like, oh, he hit a woman upside the head with a brick and nobody said nothing. Also,
nobody said nothing. They were just standing there when she was recording. She just standing there, like nobody even looked like they just saw somebody get hit with a brick. Everybody looked,
which ended up being the case. But like, I have a cousin who almost exclusively dates African men or like men from islands, and they be knocking her ass the fuck out. So like, I know the difference. That's all I'm gonna say. They'll knock your ass out.
Listen,
cause hey,
I've heard of some of that.
That's what I'm saying. It's cool. I'm like, I'm not even saying nothing about it, but I'm just like, I know my culture. And I just be like, yeah, I'm not saying American men don't put their hands, domestic violence against partners. Yes, but there's still a certain brand of it. Like it would be like somebody being like, oh, some nigga in the hood threw acid on a woman. I'd be like, that ain't no American black violence shit. Like if a woman threw acid on another woman because she was hating on her, I believe that. Before I believe like a dude just went in through acid, I'd be like, okay, so they Indian or something, they African. Like that's just not our brand of foolery. It's not.
What kind of acid do people be throwing, and where do you get it?
That's how it's so like not even our culture. I don't even fucking know.
Yeah. Like you go to the hardware store and be like, I need 2 ounces of acid or something. Like I don't know. That's
no, and niggas like I can see somebody going to get some gas. I can see some niggas getting gas and throwing it on somebody.
I never looked into that. I always wonder, like, what kind of acid?
That's something. It's just certain stuff you hear. You be like, that's just not our brand of foolery.
Yeah,
and that's another one. So it's just like battery acid. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't see they not like us, and I don't generally concern myself with the people who like us.
Greg knows.
I don't think
probably
that's
got
even
a whole little Breaking Bad room. Making them ask.
That's what I'm saying. That's not even a white American brand of violence against women. That is a very like other country form of violence against women. Like I would believe a woman threw acid on another woman from America before I believe a man did it, because women be doing shit like that in America, but not a man. Like it's just not our brand of. It's very not even Arab. Like I've heard Indian, Indian people. I've heard. I just would not believe it was an American.
See,
yeah, it's very like and like how some people do the honor killings and stuff, or like the women. If the woman do this, they'll throw it on her in the country like it be her own. So I've heard of that, but I just when I heard it, I was like, niggas ain't hitting women upside the head with bricks. Yeah, that's brown. That's people of color.
Yes, people of color.
That's some people of color shit. That's not black shit. Like it's just not. I'm sorry. They'll beat your ass. Like we be throwing hands and stuff, but that's them Kamala people. Thank you. That's some Kamala shit. I like it. I'm gonna start saying it. Brie,
Venn diagram.
She love a Venn diagram. Why don't she make one about her blackness?
Ooh. My blackness and my Jamaicanness and my whiteness.
In my Indian
in the middle. In my Indianness,
Yeah, we need that. I ain't seen that Venn diagram yet. That'd be cute. No. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't really concern myself with immigrants.
Gotcha. Last one.
When you speak about the conflict in the Middle East, you should make a nuanced argument. But why is everybody able to make nuanced arguments about people in other countries? But when it comes to us, everything is just melanin and kinky hair. Nah. Our story is nuanced too. Our history in this country is nuanced too. Our struggle is nuanced too. Our oppression and contribution is nuanced too. Don't give your nuance just to other people, but you can't have a nuanced conversation with us. Everything with us is blackety, 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 black. We all blackety black. We African. We all African, 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 African. We experience the same blackness. About getting a job and not getting a job. About what the white man see when he look at you. We don't have the same outcomes. We don't have the same history.
Now, I do think we need to start having a more nuanced conversation about blackness. And I know Anaya was saying that, Inya was saying that, like we need to start, the conversations need to, we always say black people aren't a monolith, but then we never speak to
We
what the
speak with
delineations
monolith.
are.
Right. Then we speak
Yeah.
with monolith language. Like it's so annoying to me. That's why I'd be like, even among blacks, there's still subcultures within black culture. Like it's very layered. It's very complex. I don't know why we say black people are not a monolith and then continue
Use monolithic language.
to use monolithic. It's so stupid. Africans don't face oppression. Didn't historically or today or over there.
Everybody faces some type of oppression, but that's her point. Her point is that black people have their own flavor of it, and it's worthy of conversation and selecting out for its own discussion, as opposed to Africans, as opposed to Asians, as opposed to Indians, as opposed to white people. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own history and contributions to this country and to the world. And those
it deserves nuance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It deserves nuance.
So that everybody's right. So everybody can have their story told.
Shut.
You know what I mean?
Their clips. Shut.
So yeah. Africans weren't shooting in the gym.
No, I don't think that's what she's saying.
I think when she's talking about Africans in this case, I think she's just talking about like in current day, like people who come over from Africa now don't have the same experience that black foundational black Americans had historically. Like we come from different backgrounds, and that's true. I think that's true. That's what I think she's talking about. What she said when she's talking
and remember,
about Africa.
She's responding to Mark Lamont Hill's thing, where he said blackness is all encompassing, and I can't let go of my Africanness. It's not separate from my Americanness and my blackness. Like they're all together in black. And she's saying, like, no, we have a different experience, and blacks in America and Africans in Africa, whether they immigrate or not, those are three different experiences. Wherever country you're from in Africa, whoever immigrates into America from Africa, and American born, I'll say second generation Africans. I mean, was it first generation Americans because they're born from immigrants, or people who have been here for like had family here for multi generations? Those are four different experiences. So I think we can acknowledge that because we've developed terminology. First generation Americans, you know, like we have language to delineate these groups of people. But when it comes to what they've gone through, what their struggles are, what their particular contributions are, we kind of lump everybody together. Again, from the inside of blackness, some of us try to say, well, black and African, we're all the same. And that's what she's trying to say. Like, no, like other black people, it's okay to have separate groups within blackness. And it's worthy of that discussion and distinction. That's how I take it.
Yeah. And I like that. She's actually pro-black. Lamont Hill is anti-white. That's the difference. Yeah. Feels like all of his belief about his blackness is almost like out of a fear response. Not you know what I mean? Like out of that, how I talk about that fear, anxiety. Yeah. It's still just like his blackness is almost a response to whiteness versus hers just like, we just black. We just here being black.
Yeah.
And whether white people existed or not, like we gonna be black. Like we're existing. So
yeah.
I'm kind of more on that.
It's when we talk about respectability politics, I think that's like the internal conversation versus the external conversation. And I think a lot of what Yvette Carnell is talking about is speaking to the internal conversation amongst us. How do we see ourselves and how do we need to discuss ourselves? And Mark Lamont Hill is speaking to us in that traditional respectability politics. Well, who are we in relation to white people? And how does that, so both are conversations that can be had, but I think as far as blackness, it needs to start from where is that a gnat? Yvette Carnell is, and then the feedback from what comes from outside groups. Then you consider that, but it's not like that. You shouldn't start the conversation there, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. But now I brought those in because she talked about blackness. He had talked about blackness and what it entails: nationality, the culture, the race, the ethnicity. But I wanted to have some like academic discussion on it because like both of those are academics and they disagree. They're both like learned people and they both have their points of view, their perspective that differ, even though they both have access to the education to know the difference between ethnicity and race and culture and nationality. Mark Lamont still leans in to cobble them all together, which I think is erroneous. I did it out of ignorance, but he's doing it out of choice, which is
He said
weird
maybe
to
a
me.
moneymaker thing. But it is good to see the way people define their blackness is that could be the difference, because it also, I think, when you just have regular conversations with how people are responding to black culture, like kind of commodified, I think depending on which one of those they come from, it's going to determine their kind of reaction to it. Because like I was saying, like even stuff like Sexy Red or Meg the Stallion, you know, some of those more like people who kind of trigger people is very like people are either one side or the other when they see them polarizing figures. Like I think that may be some of the difference. Like you see some people who are just like, it is what it is, and then there's some people just so triggered by it. But I'm thinking now it just might be those people who like their blackness is in relation to some whiteness in a way. And then there's kind of like respectability politics in there, or like how are these other people going to see you when you're doing this thing. So I think maybe that is the perspective that they're coming from more so.
Not definitely, because again, inside Black, we're still having these conversations. We still disagree, even on the academic level, not just on these panels here, with people who are various levels of education and experience, high degrees of academia, multiple degree holders, and all that. They're still having these disagreements, and it's been going on for a really long time. Who was it? I know Greg will correct me. Who was it? Booker T and Frederick Douglass had disagreements, like, and this was like 100 years ago. So, like, people have these disagreements. They've been having these arguments, but I think we need to have the nuanced understanding to even start the conversation. Understand who you are, to have that's the foundational premise before you start going on to larger conversations. And I think one of the problems when we have discussions on the online space with people of different backgrounds, like Bree said, we have different understandings and beliefs about what Black is, and we have different interpretations based on our environment. So when we come to those conversations, some of us have more sensitive trigger points. Some of us have understandings that we're not really explaining and articulating well because we haven't thought them through. And then we bring that into a pot and boil it, and it comes out a little messy and murky. So I think starting with the foundation of understanding. WEB, that boy. I can't stand it. Okay.
Damon. Remember that thing with that white lady who was saying that dude loved her who couldn't talk, and she was calling him Damon?
No.
Did you watch it? You didn't watch the documentary about Tell Them You Love Me with that white lady?
No, I never watched it.
That's
I watched the video about
example of an outsider talking about his name Damon. He spelled it D-M-A-N, supposedly. She talking about it's Damon. Girl, that's D-Man. That shit was so triggering. Only a white woman would read it and be like, his name is Damon. D-Man.
But now, Bree, we both Black. We know that could have been a lot of things.
But if it was right, but if it wasn't spelled Damon like phonically, then we know it ain't Damon, because that's the whole thing with the names. It's gonna be, it may not be spelled the way you think it is, but it's gonna be spelled the way it sounds. Literally, like it's gonna be spelled the way we say it, literally. So I'm like, if it's D-Man, it ain't no apostrophe in there, ain't no dash. No, it's no Damon. Damon would be D-A-H-M-A-H-N or M-O-N. Like that's how we spell over. We spell shit the way we say it. So that's all I'm saying. That shit was irritating. And so the way it was spelled clearly was D-Man. But I'm like, okay, girl. Yeah. Okay, girl. Once again, outside the culture, girl. Like, if it was Damon, it would have been spelled exactly how it sounds.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's how them ghetto names be, or it be like apostrophes in weird places, or it be like
that's what I'm gonna say. I was gonna use me
like,
with the apostrophe. I'm like, because mine ain't spelled like.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Right. It's gonna be if it's the letter, it's gonna be an apostrophe or some shit
Got you.
to delineate. That's all I'm saying.
I'm
Right.
with you. I'm with you.
That's all
Hello,
I'm saying.
Mara. Hi. Hi.
She
Sister,
said,
little sister. Hello.
right. Did you say Dumon? Exactly. Dumon. It would be just
Dumb.
like that.
Nah, you right though.
It
You
would
right.
be
And his mama told you what it was.
exactly. His mama said. I was just like,
We
that's the
did an
perfect
entire beat
example.
bracket of black people who intentionally name things white people can't pronounce. Did we?
He's talking about when y'all be talking about them pro black people be having them African names you can't pronounce, and you were like, that's
Oh.
actually a part of it. But this we talking about ghetto names. That's a whole different right with the little D. I done seen some shit. Okay,
Yeah.
I seen somebody who name literally had the number 3 in it. I can't remember what the name was, but it was like a 3 in the name. I can't remember what the name was, but she literally put a 3 in this man's name.
Man, we got some.
Was,
we got some. Oh,
oh
got
no,
some
it wasn't even
stuff.
3. It was it 3 or trio? It was some, but it was a 3.
Trio sounds super black. I will never forget Secret. My favorite was Secret because she didn't know who the dad was. Named her kid Secret. I was like, that's dirty. Don't let that kid grow up with the name Secret. But I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't.
Yeah, I've seen some weird ass names. I'd be like, how you say this? What's this?
Mm-hmm.
It's like them little puzzles you used to get in school where they write stuff. You got to figure out what the word is. Ladasha. Yep. Seen that one. But yeah, she literally put a 3 in there.
Oh God.
I know his name was Trez. Trez.
Oh, TRES.
So it was like Trez
Trace.
something, but she put a 3.
Wow. That's bad. That's bad. But we be out here.
Anyway,
that's
it was
black.
great.
That's
I loved
black.
it. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. But yeah, so Bree, like, give us like a wrap up. I know you give us a wrap up about like the whole the not like us, who we are, because this whole thing was about like delineating. Yeah. This was all like defining who we are, like culture, nationality, ethnicity, and race. Give us a summation of your views and opinions of how we should move.
Oh yeah, I agree with who was that? Cameron, who was saying Black American.
Cameron.
That's generally how I identify myself. Like, I think we should just move forward with like being more specific and just like everybody is just subbing Black for in whatever nationality. Because most people are like, if they're a mix of something of another culture, maybe then they'll usually say like, oh, Indian American or something like that. So I just think we should start saying Black American. I think we need to get rid of African American. I don't think we should be using that in 2024 because there are actually African Americans, but they probably call themselves their nationality. And Africa's a continent, so let's just like stop. Right. Let's just stop, So yeah, but no, I think we should start being proud of it. And everybody is not like us, and everybody can't be because it's part of who you were and who you grew up around and the culture. So yeah, we should have some pride in our culture and not let everybody say they're a part of it and then do stupid stuff and then make us look bad.
With it. Because you said you're doing 2 streams today. I think you're doing one with Twan.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? What's up?
So I'm doing a stream in about an hour. We be late. But we're supposed to be talking about House of the Dragons because I have a market on this weekend, and so I won't be able to. And then be on the lookout for me and Rashawn. He don't know this yet, but we're gonna do a stream about Interview with the Vampire too before the weekend. So look out for that too. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I be on my channel. I talk about not negative stuff, and I have viewers, so you can not talk about negative stuff and get views.
I don't know how to trigger the night bot over here anymore. I think it might be turned off.
I don't have a channel. Don't come over there. It don't exist.
Okay. But go over to Kawaii Bree 123. Are you doing YouTube and Twitch or just Twitch?
I'm doing YouTube and Twitch. Yeah.
Okay. So on both channels, she's Kawaii Bree 123. There's no spaces on Twitch. Go over and support Kawaii Bree. Actually, if you go to my channel also, she's on the list of people I suggest.
I think my YouTube channel is like youtube.com/Kawaii Bree. That's like literally my page. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so go over there, support her. If you're into Hot D, House of the
Hot
Dragon.
D.
Yeah,
Hot
if you're not into some
P.
Hot D, yeah, if you don't want no Hot D,
Hot
go ahead and stay out.
D. And we were
Hot D.
recently talking about gay vampires, so if that's your thing too.
Yes. So
Go
either
check
way,
it
it's
out.
Hot D. House of the Dragons, Hot
We're
D,
all
or
about
vampires.
D over there on my channel. We love
All
it.
about D. All
We
about
love
the
it in
D.
all its shapes and form. Well, not nachos, but we
We
like
not
all
your.
the
Not that callback.
nachos.
Not you doing a callback
I'm
on the
just saying,
show.
like, we not in the chose, but we like gay vampires and we like hot D. So if you want to come over and talk about it, then yeah, we're gonna finally catch up. We are like 4 episodes behind, so we got a lot to cover. So it should be good.
Cool. All right, cool. I'll be listening in. I appreciate you for having this conversation with me, bro. I wanted to have one that had less heat to it and more like, let's hear what the academics said. People who would, study, and they disagree too.
Right.
They had a disagreement, but I wanted to bring that out to have different level of points brought out. And again, I admitted my error. I think a lot of times what I'm talking about is ethnicity, the Black American ethnicity. And I might say race, or I might be talking about nationality, but what I really mean, what I should be saying is ethnicity. And I think we do have a unique ethnicity here in this country, and that has a culture has developed out of it. Some of the aspects we really want to reject a lot of times, but they're still ours. And we want to embrace all the good. We want to talk about jazz and some of the food and dance and some of the movies, but then we want to back away from stuff like Sexy Red and Glorilla. But that's us,
Showing off our moose nut on Mondays. Moose nut Monday.
Yeah.
Black people be so ignorant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
We the best and the worst.
It's ghetto, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I love it. But y'all, I hope y'all got something out of this. Again, I don't know if ID's gonna reach back out for a day, because he said he had stuff he wanted to say. So I'll give him a separate floor, because I know I had videos I wanted to work through, and I wanted to work through with Bree. And again, if y'all, because again, I've never really articulated this until today. If you guys are trying to have a conversation about something, just hit me up. I can open up the bar. We can talk about something, chop it up. We can figure something out. But I mean, that's for the regulars and stuff, the people to be here. I'm always willing to do that. It's not something where I only got to talk to Bree and Yella. I'm willing to have conversations with other people or open up the floor for other space for other people that want to say something. But you got to let me know. You got to let me know if that's what you want. If not, that's cool too. I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Again, Bree will be back on here in about an hour's time. I'll have to find out from Yella if we're going to get back on the beat bracket or if it's going to be on summer break. You never know with these people because they're black. Anyway, I'm getting ready to head out. I didn't do an intro. Not going to do an outro. Hope y'all have a good day.
Bye.
Peace.